All right, welcome to the Bard of All Trades podcast. I'm your host, BradElBard, and today I have the man from the Hive here in Cream Ridge, New Jersey, Chris Noonan, the owner of Mikoto Brand.
Thank you.
And before we get started, I just want to give shout out to a bunch of my sponsors. It's more than that now. So we have adarklegacy.net. If you guys like creative writing and you want to see some really cool stuff, those guys are putting together some really, really cool sci-fi stories on their website. Definitely go check them out. Also, Valley Jiujitsu, if you guys are in the Allentown, PA area and you want a week free of learning how to choke people like Chris does, make sure you go check them out. Mention the Bard, you get a week free. Also, I also want to shout out Hybrid Healer. If you guys want to get back to training faster and you're hurt, hit her up. She's on the East Coast. She will travel to your gym and take care of your team. And that's about it. Also, shout out to my Patreon subscriber, Sam. So, all right, that's about it. I need to start making a script. I have too many of them now.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good
one,
to
man.
have.
That's
Hell
cool.
Yeah. Well, dude, we're here. We're in the bus, man.
Thank you so
Finally,
much.
We've been
This is
planning
really
this
cool.
for a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, this is cool. It was hard to get timing down because, like, we both do way too much.
I know, man.
But we did it. We did it. So it was cool.
So, dude, I think, like, the first thing I want to ask, because a lot of people are, like, anticipating the answer for this one. What happened with the old Studio 84, and how did you kind of acquire it here? And I have to say, I just trained in here. Doesn't feel any different, man. The pace is amazing. We have an incredible instructor leading the programs over here.
So for people that don't know, my academy, the Hive Martial Arts Academy, has been around since 2013. We're rooted in Manahawkin, New Jersey by Long Beach Island, right? So we've been down there for a little while. I met Guy through... So I've owned the school by myself. This is an easier way to explain it.
Yeah,
I've
owned the Hive.
Yeah, I've owned it by myself since 2013.
Mm-hmm. And where's the original location? Just so people
Manahawkin, New Jersey.
That's
yeah.
what I thought,
so things got kind of weird. Quarantine happened, right?
Of
like
course.
everything happened, and I wasn't allowed to earn money for 6 months or so.
Dude.
And what do you do? So I had to go and start getting a day job and all this other stuff, which I designed for other people, and that's kind of the way that shook out.
Yeah.
But now I have two business partners, Ruben being one of them who you met today.
Thank you, Ruben, for the soap.
Yeah, Ruben is the man. And then Jen. Jen is our program director who crushes everything behind the scenes.
I met her the first day, right?
Yes. Jen is the best.
That's awesome.
So it's cool. It's brand new, like having that partnership, but having people that are strong independently in their own roles that like make up for the things that, so we can all focus on our strengths, right? Like
right?
Yeah, it's really great. So Ruben has been best friends with Guy forever, former owner of Studio 84.
Yeah, I actually met Ruben back in the day at Guy's house. We were watching like a Fight to Win or something.
Yeah.
We were all like having beers and stuff. It was a
So
great time.
during quarantine when all this was happening, Ruben knew that I was like hustling and taking every odd job humanly possible. So I actually made the Studio 84 logo.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
You did a great job,
Well,
dude.
So I made all that stuff. I didn't design all the apparel.
It looks so much like the Hive, actually, like the hexagon kind
The hexagon,
situation.
yeah. Well,
dude,
so
it was good.
that's actually a really unique thing because originally, kind of the inspiration for that was supposed to be almost like Planet Cybertron, and I was
Dude,
like,
I love you.
I was like, that'll never really work outside of like a digital
That's
realm,
awesome.
right? Like you can't screen print that on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So I made a couple of logo mock-ups that looked more like the heads-up display inside like Tony Stark's helmet.
Yeah.
So there were
sick,
like more
dude.
circles and like a couple stray lines and smaller circles and all that stuff. And then eventually I started playing with different geometric shapes, and we led to a hexagon. I can't help that is what he approved, right? Hexagons are cool. My logo's a hexagon.
Dude, gotta love the honeycomb design.
Yeah,
dude.
it makes sense for us. So there was kind of a personal relationship when that happened. As far as like what happened with Studio, I haven't really addressed it ever, because we could sit around and talk about it, but there's three sides to every story, right? There's your side, my side, and then what actually happened is usually somewhere in the middle. And when I met a bunch of the guys, when all of this was kind of presented as a possibility, they came to us and were like, hey, we have matches, we have this, we have that. And I was like, all right, so we're not going to talk about it. Like, you can choose to focus on that, or you can get like right to work and focus on the things that are really important, and you can process this at a later date. And that's exactly what we did. So for me, there's not much to talk about because I have nothing to do, and I'm literally completely disconnected from everything that did happen.
Swooped it up.
And an opportunity came along. There were people in town that like needed a place to train, and first and foremost, jiu-jitsu is about people. It's about connecting people and helping people. So even before the opportunity for us to acquire the location came, we had some of the guys come down just trying to find a home. And I told them, I was like, listen, I know you guys are going through some stuff. You're not going to get any pressure from us to like try to sign you up and like, oh, your school's closed, join ours. I told them repeatedly, I was like, that's not how you treat people.
Yeah.
So find a place, and it doesn't matter if it's not me. Like, I don't take that personally, but until you find a place that feels like home, I'm happy to be able to provide a place and facilitate a room for you to grow in until that happens.
Yeah.
And then, a week later, the potential came up, and now we're here.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's awesome.
that was it, yeah.
Can you move in a little bit closer so
Sure.
you can pull the mic up?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
Gotcha.
sorry.
My
Just
bad.
making
No, my
sure,
bad.
I'm like watching the notch here.
And
I
I'm
wanna
not
make
loud
sure.
enough.
Yeah.
I spend
It's
all
all
day
good.
yelling, like, in the room. So when I get out, I'm just like, "Whoa."
You're a great coach too, man.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God, you ended the class with some push-ups and sit-up. I'm like, oh man.
Oh, that was an easy one just because like, we had a couple minutes. And,
Yeah.
you got to read the room. And I was like, if we do one more round, everyone's going to puke. And I was like, all right. So we'll just do a couple push-ups, a couple sit-ups, and then we'll get out clean.
Yeah.
We were all at the point where like steam was leaving our bodies.
Dude,
and we were
I
like,
was trying to
"All right."
like take some pictures. I was like, oh, not gonna happen. I was just
Yeah.
sitting there with my microphone.
But I like that, man. Give me like 3,000% humidity. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go.
Way
I'm
better
in.
than like
Yeah.
you were saying about the air conditioning.
Yeah. So no, dude. So I went to Atlanta and I trained at a gym where there was no AC, and there were a couple guys from other schools, and it was hot, man. It was like early September. So and it was like really warm, and the gym itself, it's no windows, no nothing. It's in the back of like a warehouse, and it's hot. Right. And the instructor is like laughing at everybody as they're dying and trying to sit out rounds. And he's like talking to them like, yo, get up and train. And he literally looks at the room and goes, some of you train in gyms with AC and it shows. And I was like, oh, it was funny.
Burn.
It was really funny. But I was like, I got to keep rolling. No rounds off. No rounds off. I didn't even drink water the rest of the day. I was like, if he sees me hydrating, like I'm going to look soft. I got to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I almost got a heat stroke just to like look
just
cool.
to stay hard. Yeah. David Goggins.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, dude, let me address a little bit of like what we experienced today with the class, right?
Sure.
So I really like when you do your warm up. I don't know if today was like an advanced class or how common it is in your thing, and you can talk about this. But we started out with like, hey, here's a position. Start working what you like want to work on from this position for 3 minutes. Go.
Yeah.
And like that was so cool because it was like, oh, like on the spot. I'm like, oh, De La Hiva. Let's see. And then I kind of got to like, oh, you know what? I remember this actually.
So, the way that I like to present jiu-jitsu is like, I was always taught where like, oh, it's Tuesday, we're going to do triangle chokes from closed guard. And then, oh, it's Wednesday, we're going to do double legs. And it's Thursday, and we're going to do like rear naked chokes. So it was just like, here's a bunch of stuff. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right. And it was really difficult to learn and organize and understand how it all connected,
to
right?
Streamline it.
So
You
I
preached that.
Yeah,
at the end
so
of your class,
I
bro.
started building systems like as a blue and a purple belt just for myself to stay organized, so I could understand like why the things work and how they're all connected. So when I started teaching, instead of being like, hey, Brad, I'm going to hand you a bunch of puzzle pieces, like I want to give you a completed section of the puzzle. So in our academies, we spend 1 month on one position. Not necessarily one position, but one position, top and bottom. Sometimes it'll be like, hey, we're going to work on, guillotines from everywhere, arm bars from everywhere. So like one
attacks and
concept or
defenses on those things.
Yeah.
That's cool.
and this month just happened to be De La Hiva guard. So we did some passing, we did some different looks for gi and no gi, some different attacks from the bottom as well. And we're at the end of the month, so that's review month. So here's 3 minutes, focus on quality over quantity. Pick a technique that you vibed with all month long, because at the end of the month, how many techniques do you do? I try not to spam like 3,000 at them, but at the end of a month, you do quite a few, and October's not a short month, right? So what good is having 150 techniques and you can't remember any of them when you really need them? So find the ones that resonate with you and start building off of that.
Yeah.
And I think it's way easier. I've seen tremendous growth in my white belts and my blue belts since we started teaching in that format a couple years ago. And it was something that I had always done. And I was like, why am I like not giving them this? So that was it. I mean, like 3 years ago for Christmas, I made specific notebooks for all my students as a gift for them to be able to like write notes on class. And it's like a very specific page structure that works for jiu-jitsu.
I would love to see that. You have a picture of that?
I don't on my phone,
You'll
but
have to show
I
me
can
later.
send you one. Yeah.
Dude, I just started this year with one of my brown belts. You fought at Riverfront as well. Mike Villeneuve. He actually won his match against Zach. And yeah, man, Mike was telling me, like he journals after every class.
I know a
And
lot
I'm
of
like,
people that do.
"Dude,
Yeah.
I need to start doing that." And I started doing it. So today I'm gonna have to write some things down.
No,
for your
it's
class.
really good. I think it's a little bit different. Each person is different.
Of course,
I sort
yeah.
of have like an internal recording device in my head where like I can remember everything that happened in that role pretty much for the next like 2 days.
Damn, dude, that's
So
pretty
like
elaborate.
it's what I do, right? So like I would go and coach and have like 20 kids and I'm like, okay, I have to remember this moment from this match and this moment from this match because I need to wait until they come back to class so I can fix it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of build that. Some people need to journal, some people can just remember it. Don't ask me like what day of the week it is or when my birthday is because like all of that is stored.
Yeah.
Like all that
You outsource that on
yeah,
like,
the
paper.
CPU is used. You know what I mean? So my brain is just constantly running like weird jujitsu scenarios in my head,
That's
and I get
awesome,
ideas
dude.
for technique like doing mundane tasks like laundry, or I'll be like, oh, I understand why on Tuesday this guy didn't get that thing. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I think
so
it's just what
funny.
you choose to like spend your time processing. You know?
That happens to me like sometimes, but like with music, it happens to me all the time. I feel like that's where like maybe like I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but like I'm a pretty decent brown belt at guitar. You know what I mean? Or maybe I'm like a really good brown belt if I like depending which room I'm in. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think that's another thing too. I come from a family where like my dad played guitar, my mom used to write, and like there was never a time in my house that music wasn't on in any room, if not all rooms, right? Like my brother plays guitar, my sister danced and like played clarinet and stuff
Very
like that. So like
family.
we just I don't even know if that's it, but like my family's weird and like all of us know every word to like almost every song we've ever heard in our lives kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because music is that important to all of us individually. And it's weird because I know people that like can't remember the lyrics to one song and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard the song in like 20 years
Yeah.
verbatim.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a weird thing that some things language just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
You miss like an an or an and in the song or something. Like,
And then I feel bad about it. And I'm like,
oh, I messed that one line up.
how
Crap.
dare I? Like the disrespect of me to this guy's craft, right? Like, yeah, no. So it's kind of neat. But it's weird because when I meet people, they're like, I don't understand. I've never met someone that can do that. And I'm like, I know 4 other people and they're my immediate family and they all do it. So again, it's the kind of thing that I think like whatever you vibe with and resonate with. I have friends that can tell me stats from baseball players like 60 years ago. And I'm like, I don't even know who that is, you know? Whatever you vibe with, you know?
Yeah, it works, man. Well, while we're on the topic of music, I want to compliment you on the music you had on while we were rolling.
Oh, thank you.
Dude, it was pretty heavy, and I don't hear that all the time. Like a lot of times, it's like more safe music. I really liked it. Can you tell me like what's on the playlist for when you guys are rolling?
Oh, dude, no, that really depends like day to day based on mood. Every Time I Die was on, and they dropped the new record a couple days ago,
So
and I've just been like, I've been really feeling it. It's good.
It was good. It was good rolling music.
Yeah, it was fun. But honestly, like, I roll to like 70s soul music all the time,
That's
and
wild.
I've had classes straight up. I've had classes where I put on Disney playlists, like the Hercules soundtrack is gold.
Dude,
it's
all right.
gold. Alan Menken is the
vibe with
man.
it.
You know, so like if it's good and I can kind of like lock in the zone, that's what it is. And again, like weird thing with my family, if you're driving, the radio is yours, and if anybody touches it, like they're losing that hand, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like my mom slapped my hand, be like, "Don't you dare!" And I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
So it's the same. Like I honestly, I don't care what you want to listen to. I'm teaching class today, so you know, it's like, look at me, I'm the captain now, kind of thing. You know,
Hell yeah.
and that's it. But it doesn't matter. Like if I can lock into rhythm or like the drums, so like a lot of funk, a lot of 70s soul, a lot of lo-fi stuff.
You roll to that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
bro.
I've literally rolled to like Disney soundtracks, and
Dude.
I sing it while I'm doing it. I don't even mind. Like
Sounds
it's
like a nightmare.
it's crazy.
Let's get down to bed.
Dude, Donny Osmond crushes that, and I don't even like Donny Osmond. I was really mad that song didn't make it in the movie.
Yo.
In the live action one.
Yeah.
So you know,
I didn't even see it. Oh,
It's
I'm not even gonna watch it now.
it's not really Mulan.
Yeah.
They like there's a lot of different things. If they named it any other thing, I'd have been
It
like,
would've
that
been
movie's dope.
Yeah.
But when they called it Mulan, I was like, this isn't the same.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
So you know, I think I don't know. Everybody tries to take themselves too seriously, and we got to listen to like this really hard music to be in a mental space.
Yeah.
Like my jujitsu is pace based. I don't care. We could put on. I could train in silence. I don't like it, but I could. You know. So
I think silence is better than a song I don't like.
well, yeah.
Like Nickelback came on the other day in my gym because like
Oh,
we
no.
had I was like, damn.
Nah,
bro.
then we're butt rock. Now we're fighting, right? Like that's a different
Butt
story.
rock.
Yeah, butt rock music for WWE fans.
Yeah.
I apologize.
My friend that's in a metal band called Die Choking. Ironically,
Okay.
he does jujitsu as well. He told me butt rock. Well, he explained butt rock to me because I was like, I never heard the term before. He's like, yeah, that's like when you hear on the radio station, nothing but rock.
Yeah.
And that's what it
Or
is.
it sounds like music that a pro wrestler would walk out to.
100%.
Right? Like that's like an 80s pro wrestler.
Exactly.
But it's not like 80s metal. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
yeah. So Puddle of Mud with 2 Ds.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And if,
Hoobastank.
you know, if you like them, my bad. But you like bad music. I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm gonna be real straight about that.
That's awesome. Well, dude, let's talk a little bit about your music journey. Like, where did you start creating music?
So, I got a guitar from one of my friends, and it was, I'm not even kidding, it was like a classical guitar that he didn't keep nylons on. He's like, oh, I just got a new one, and I don't need this. And it was like really small. So I learned how to play on that, and I'm self-taught. And like 90% of what I do, I'm an autodidact. And I think it's just because I need to make my own mistakes and make it make sense for myself.
I learn way better when I make my own mistakes as well.
So I started playing guitar, and it was like stupid things in the beginning, you know, like I learned how to play like the bass line to like MXPX Chick Magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the Inspector Gadget theme song, which my sister had to put up with through a wall of me getting it wrong. Down and down and you know, like, and you're like, oh, that's not the right note. So, you know, shout out to my sister who had to deal with me learning to play an instrument a room away. So I started with that, and then I used to play in bands and do that kind of thing.
That's sick.
And I got to the point where, like, when I started teaching and posting videos or making videos for the academy, like, I'm not going to deal with licensing things. I'm not going to sort out and seek out music that I can use for free. I was like, I'll just make it myself. So every video that I've ever posted for the academy or myself and jiu-jitsu related, I made the music.
That's awesome.
Anything for like the last year that the guys at the Monkey Tape Company have posted, I made the music for their motion graphics and stuff like that. So
dude,
I kind of find a way to take all the things I do and just be like, exist together.
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
like one thing.
We're very alike in that way.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about like what are some of the tools you use? Because I just installed Reaper. That's the DAW that I'm using right now, and this is the mixer I have. It's a Zoom L8 right now. You guys can check out the affiliate link to that in the description if you
get it. Help them out. No,
but like, what do you use?
I play guitar primarily. At the beginning of quarantine, I got a Yamaha DX7 from like, I think 1983, and that changed everything. So now I write like weird 80s pop songs and like R&B jams. But I make a bunch of like lo-fi stuff. So on the computer, I use Machina, Native Instruments Machina, to program my drums. I really like the grid and not seeing a piano roll. So like I use a Mac, so I have Logic Pro. But to program drums on that,
use one of those launch pads with the grid.
So it's the Machina one that Native Instrument makes. It's the Micro Mark II. They're up to like 3. So it's 16 pads, and it's similar to an MPC, but like I don't have the big one that acts more like an MPC where it's like a little bit more standalone. I have the smaller one that's meant to be tethered to a computer. But I don't like being like, oh, my hi-hat is off or like my snare is off and I can't find the snare because it's like D sharp, and I'm like, that's not where the snare goes. So at least in Machine, in their software, everything is on a grid where it has its own kind of track, and it looks more like a step sequencer in that regard. But you can obviously like play live and finger drum in and not quantize and stuff like that. So what I do, because I came from a background of playing in bands and like recording live drum kits, is I don't like looking at the piano roll and MIDI information. So I'll kind of sketch out ideas and program my drums and arrangement in Machine, and then I export it all as audio and I put it into Logic to mix because it's way better for mixing than Machine is. And then I treat everything like the kick drum and everything as WAV files and like actual audio rather than just like MIDI information. So I do that. It's a kind of a backwards workflow that I know a lot of people don't like doing, but for me, it visually it's easier. I feel like I'm able to sound design more and stuff like that. So I like run it through pedals and outboard gear and stuff like that.
That's cool.
So,
what kind of guitar effects are you using? Right now I'm using a HD 500X by Line 6.
I have 2 pedal boards. I have two pedal boards. One is very large, MIDI stuff and all that, and then I have one that's like a grab and go. No, dude, I'm like a huge pedal nerd. Huge pedal nerd. And now that's kind of become like a vintage
jam, bro.
synth
Like,
nerd.
I'm getting, like,
that'd be fun.
Right
No. I just have a room full of toys. But to be fair, like, it's the only thing I spend money on. Like I have no hobbies other than jujitsu, music, and like actual art. And I found a weird niche where like all of them are forms of income for me because I was just like, I'm gonna do what I want and nothing else in the most like Peter Pan complex way possible.
Hell yeah, dude.
But don't grow up. It's a trap.
Yo, seriously,
Yeah,
dude,
for
I'll
real.
drink to
So
that.
I just, I had a teacher in like 4th grade, 3rd grade, somewhere in there that was like, you can't just draw skulls and lightning bolts for the rest of your life. And I was like, watch me. And now I get paid to draw skulls and lightning bolts. So it's like, yeah, don't tell me what I can't do.
For real.
And that's it. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
man.
it's pretty neat.
What are some of like your favorite pedals?
Ooh, that changes a lot.
For like the lo-fi stuff, you must use a lot of like reverb and like ambient stuff, huh?
I'm a huge reverb nerd anyway, and like delay nerd anyway. So on the smaller board, I have a Fox Pedals Magnifica, which is like a spring reverb kind of thing, and then I have like a Hall of Fame Mini on it. But there's a vintage 89 Ibanez 89 delay, and then I have the Empress tape delay. On the bigger board, delay is all the DD500 by Boss, because MIDI and giant computer. But I actually have like too many banks because I'm like, well, I bought it, I'm gonna make them all, right?
Yeah.
So I do that, and then I have an RV500, and the Strymon Flint is like the best reverb ever. It's a dual pedal. It's tremolo and reverb on one side, and it's sort of meant to be the thing that goes right before your amp to model like amps that had tremolo and spring reverb in them. So there's 3 kinds of reverb and 3 kinds of tremolo, and it's gorgeous. It's I could play that pedal alone forever and be happy.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Dude. I know like Electro Harmonics has one. My buddy actually that owns the
Holy Grail was like my first reverb pedal ever, the big box one. Yeah, I was
dude.
I don't know, like 10 years ago, huge Electro Harmonics nerd.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
They're crazy.
Small
man.
Stone, Small Clone. I had the Ravish Sitar for a little while. I had a Polyphase, like nerd stuff. Yeah.
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for indulging me with that.
Dude, I can talk about that all day.
All day.
All day. Yeah.
I kind of want to like do a video with you where we kind of like demo our rigs.
I'm with it.
We'll have to do that.
I'm with
We're
it.
gonna
That's
have
a
to
good
do that
idea.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll schedule that one. But yeah, let's jump back into jiu-jitsu a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit about like where you came from? Like where'd you get your white belt? And how do we become the legend we are today here?
No legend.
You are a legend to me. I've heard it so much about you before I met you. You are certainly a legend.
All terrible things.
Not even.
So I think like most guys my age, I'm old. I'm 37.
Damn.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm catching up, dude.
Nah, it's all right. So I think like most guys my age, like I started with karate as a kid.
Yeah.
So from 12 until I was 18, like only karate. Got my black belt at 18. And it wasn't the kind of place where kids were getting their black belts at like 12.
Yeah.
So then 2 years later, I retested. I got my 2nd degree black belt, and at 18, I started teaching. So the way that worked is you had to have 2 black belts of specific rank kind of sponsor you that would just put their name up and co-sign that you were ready to take your black belt test.
Yeah.
And right before my test, one of my guys had moved down to Manahawkin and opened a school. And then like literally the day I passed my black belt test, he was like, so you want a job? Do you want to come teach? And I was like, I would love to do that. So that started there. And then sometime around 20, a judo guy and a jiu-jitsu guy came in and asked my instructor if they could start using the mat and teaching and doing all that. So I started kind of just like, hey, I don't know what you're doing. Teach me that. You know what I mean? Because I'd been kicking people in the face at that point forever and was like, I don't know what that is, but I know it's the other side of the coin and I want to know that. Disclaimer, I knew that I wanted to do this at 6 years old. My dad let me watch Enter the Dragon with him, and I remember like pulling out a shirt and be like, that, Dad, that. You know, like I just wanted to be Bruce Lee, and that never went away. So, you know, I mean, he armbars a guy in the beginning of that movie, right? So I was like, I don't know what that stuff is. I want to learn it. And, you know, as a kid, the late 80s and like early 90s wrestling was crazy. And then, you know, so I used to watch that stuff as a kid.
Yeah,
and you know, you kind of see the grappling and you're like, I don't know what that is. And I was so small. So I tried to wrestle in high school. And there was just no one my size. I didn't break 100 pounds until I got out of high school. I was just like tiny human.
Yeah.
So that didn't pan out for me. So when jiu-jitsu kind of was presented, I was like, I've always wanted to do something like this. Like I wanted to grapple. I didn't know what. So I started doing that, and that was it. And then over time, you kind of bounce around, try to find. They come and go, right? It's a weird thing when guys don't own academies and they're just trying to run programs out of someone else's, because for any reason, like the wind changes direction, they're like, oh, we gotta go, you know.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's cool. I learned a ton. As a purple belt, I was able to meet the guy that gave me my black belt. His name is Marcio Bittencourt. And like my first class, I was getting smashed by some like 240 gorilla, and I was trying to bicep slice him, and he's like, oh, put your hand here and here and then open your knees apart. And the dude like immediately like yelped and verbally tapped, and I was like, oh, that's my guy now. Like this is my guy. So I met Marcio, and that was it. You know, between then, it was kind of like I was lost for a little while as like an early purple belt, because my instructor had left that academy, and I didn't have a place to be. And I had started teaching at other places, doing like kickboxing and like kind of venturing into the early stages of personal training. So there's a couple guys in the gym that are like brown belts and do jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, hey, can I train with you guys? Like, you know more than I do, and you know, if they're fighting MMA, like I'll hold mitts and like teach you to kickbox. And that was sort of like the ebb and flow for a while until I met Marcio, and then everything made sense. Everything made sense the minute I met him.
Where's his location?
So Marcio is a wild man, and teaches at way too many academies across North Jersey, New York, Staten Island, and somewhere in Pennsylvania. But he kind of runs the U.S. side of a team called Fight Club Jiu-Jitsu that he and 3 guys started in Brazil. Daniel Lima moved out to Australia, has a very successful academy, a bunch of black belts under him out there. Heitor, who I've only met one time, went to Portugal. So like they kind of built up the team in Brazil, and then we're like, okay, let's go. And then they all left, and it's huge in Brazil still. So Marcio sort of runs the U.S. team over there, over here rather. And yeah, I don't remember when. I've been a black belt for like 6 years, I think. So he was the man that gave me my brown belt and my black belt, and I love him to death. Yeah, I love him to death. He's a great guy.
That's got to be like a powerful moment, getting handed that, like, you are a legitimate lethal weapon.
Man, no, because you'll find out. The first thing that runs through your mind is, oh no, I'm not ready for this.
Dude,
I don't want
felt
this.
like that
Take
for
it
my
back.
purple belt,
Take it
dude.
back. Like, I don't want this. It was really cool because he did it at a seminar at my academy, like in front of my students and my kids. And it would have been really cool to like go up north and train at the academy that he was kind of like based out of. But it definitely was a kind of thing for like the kids in my school to see me get promoted and be like, we can do that too. You know what I mean? Like,
that's awesome.
That was a really cool thing. I like sobbed uncontrollably, and you know, yeah, it was good.
So you're a man of 2 sides of the coin as well.
Yeah.
Super brutal, but also has a soft side.
No, I'm mostly dead inside.
Yeah,
Mostly dead inside. But that was like a cool thing. And my dad was there, and you know, it's a kind of thing for my dad to be there. That was huge too, because like there was that moment where I was like, if you didn't let me watch that movie, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, I opened my academy a couple years before that. Like, none of this would have happened without you. And it was cool. It was cool. And then he started crying, and I started crying, and it was that like, don't do this to me.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
dude.
like,
No,
yeah.
dude,
No, but
that's
it was
amazing.
really cool. Honestly, one of my favorite memories of all time.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have inspiration from that like led you to create any music?
I don't know, honestly, because back then, so there was a point early in the academy where like music kind of like took a back seat.
Dude, I know
and
how
there
it
was
goes.
just so much like other responsibility that I had that I couldn't play as much as I wanted to. And then like I am professionally self-deprecating. So everything that I make, if it's not perfect, like delete. I won't even save it and keep it on a hard drive for years. I just delete it.
Yeah.
Like no thanks.
Yeah.
Cuz I'll just make something better. Or not. And then that's kind of where I was. So I didn't really start like releasing music again until like post quarantine, because I had all that time to sit and write and play and spend time on it. And then since then I've dropped a ton. Well, not a ton. A ton relatively. When you release none, anything seems like a ton. But it's going really well, and it's really weird that people are listening to it. I don't know why. I don't know who's listening to it, but thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where's your music located?
It's everywhere. So the lo-fi stuff is under Jaga the Wise, because I'm a giant Thundercats nerd, because that was my childhood, and Jaguars are dope. So he was the old man, and I'm old and over it. So it's on Spotify, Apple Music, like all that stuff. But couple months ago, I released like an album called Slow Hondas, and there's, other than the drums, there's no samples. The first thing I had kind of put out, called Archipelago Volume 1, is more traditional, like hip hop, where some things are sampled, but I didn't want to deal with licensing. So I kind of learned how to write music that sounds like the things I would sample, and I self-sample. So what I'll do now is like, I'll write like 16 bars of something that sounds like a funk song or a soul song, and then I will record it all to a stereo track and then chop that up like it were something I pulled from a record. So that happened a lot with Slow Hondas. Obviously the drum sounds were fake because I don't have a drum kit in my house, but otherwise, like, everything melodically I played in. And it's going really well, and it's weird.
You use like a guitar, and like you have like a MIDI controller as well.
Yeah, so I have a couple synths, and then I have a little like 25 key MIDI thing that sits on my desk. But if I want to like stretch out and play, the DX7 is like right around the corner, and that's a little bit bigger. But yeah, weird synth sounds. I play like real bass, I play synth bass on it, guitars, stuff like that. So
dude, that's sick. I haven't listened to, I didn't know you were on like Spotify and stuff, so I definitely
well, it was the kind of thing where it's like, if I'm gonna put it out, I might as well put it somewhere where people can listen to it. So. And if nobody listens to it, that's fine. I at least have the satisfaction that like, hey, you said you were gonna do something and you saw it through, right? And I expected like me to be the person that listened to it one time and be like, all right, that was cool.
It's like, oh,
but I mean, like, Slow Hondas is almost up to like 1,000 streams on Spotify, and I don't know how. I don't know how. Like, that's awesome, weird. Man. That's weird. Thank you.
I'm experiencing a similar thing right now where I set a goal for myself. By the end of the year, I wanted to get 1,000 subs. And I just breached 800 like last week.
You're so close.
You know what I mean? I'm getting there.
So close.
It's very realistic that by the end of the year I can do it. I just need to keep having sweet dudes like you on.
Oh, no, man. I'll hype it up. Hopefully we get some guys.
Yeah, for sure, man. But that's awesome, man. I want to talk a little bit now about like the clothing brand, though. So you have the Mikoto brands. We got the monkey tape stuff. I definitely don't want to forget that because you were telling me some really cool stories moments ago.
Yeah.
But tell me, like, how did you get into clothing? Like, dude, you are literally a jack of all trades. Like, it's awesome.
You are the bard of all trades.
Yeah, exactly. Takes one to know one.
In high school, I took an art class like my senior year, and again, I'm 37. I grew up in an era of real album covers, like actual CDs and booklets and vinyl records and the covers, and skateboard graphics, huge. Band posters, band T-shirts, huge, like that kind of stuff. All the comic book stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like I latched on to visual stuff so early on. And again, I'm a habitual margin doodler. So we were in an art class like my senior year, and we're like making vases or a lamp, and there's the one kid that makes a bong and then gets expelled, right? Like there's that.
Damn.
I wouldn't say it if it weren't true.
Yeah.
Suspended, maybe not expelled.
Yeah.
But so there was a point where I was like, hey, Miss Eisner, I don't mean to be rude. I don't like this at all. And I was like, I'm really not liking it. Can I start making T-shirts if I buy all the stuff and I work diligently in class? Like, can I do that instead and get a grade for it? I'm not kidding. I asked her if I could just do something completely different. She's like, I mean, if you really want, she's like, but if I catch you like screwing around, no way. So in high school, I bought like a single screen and I started slinging T-shirts out of the side of the art room. And then I was like, okay, that'll be cool. So then, I start playing in bands around then, and I graduate and I'm playing, and it was like, we need merch. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just design them. And I couldn't print at the scale that we needed for that. So I was like, I'll make them, right? Like, I'll design them and then we'll send them to a screen printer, and then we don't have to pay an extra person for it. So I started designing band T-shirts or like our EP or like our flyers and stuff like that. And then you play with other bands and they're like, oh, that's a cool shirt. Who made that? And I was like, well, I did. Like, thanks. And they were like, do you want to make one for us? And I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
So suddenly I started doing that in that world. And again, that was a place where it's like, oh, music and art, let's like smash those together until it's a thing that works. So that's how that all started. And again, like, I wanted to make someone's favorite T-shirt. I wanted to make a shirt that you took off, put in the washing machine immediately, and wore it again tomorrow. And didn't care that anybody was like, didn't you just wear that? I wanted someone to like a shirt that much, because I had shirts like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I got into design work. And then that started to branch out into other things. So like right now, currently I'm the creative director for Monkey Tape. That started really strangely too, where they asked me to design T-shirts. That was the thing that was in.
Foot in the door.
Yeah, I love it though. Apparel design is like one of my favorite things, and we'll circle back to that. So they asked me to make t-shirts, and the relationship was good. And over time, he asked me to do a couple small projects. And now, like, I run their social media. So if you DM Monkey Tape, I'm the human being that you're talking to. I usually introduce myself, but if you send stuff to Monkey Tape, I'm the guy who's doing it. I make the posts and all that stuff. And that started this year in January, actually. And then that turned into making motion graphics and then new packaging things. And we sort of created a new identity system for them, because that's apparel design is a thing I do really well, but brand identity systems is something that like I love doing. I like building brands. And I think if you look at any of the things that I do, I'm very particular about the way that we present things and the lens at which people see them through, because I invest a lot of time in getting that right. Color schemes, camera angles, even the messaging, the way that we speak on social media is really important for positioning, which is the way that like your customer views you, the way that they think about you, even if they don't know who you are. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So I'm really big on that. And they were missing some elements because they just started a company and it took off. And they were missing some things that I thought were really important to build like core brand values and identity. So I made a brand guide, which is kind of standard. And then the relationship grew, and now I work for them, and life is great. And they make the best tape on earth. And I had wholesale accounts with them, I told you, for the Academy for like 4 years before I even made a single piece of anything for them. Yeah. And I was buying the tape, and I was like, yo, why don't I just sell it at the Academy? And then I have a ton of it because I use it. So it was that kind of thing. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I love working with the team. They are fantastic people. It's put me in contact with so many other people that I wouldn't have had the ability to network with. Like during Pans, I did like live streams for them with like b.o.a.t and Shane Jamil Hill Taylor and stuff like that. And I don't fanboy and have like hero worship or anything like that, but those are just people that I wouldn't interact with. And then there's other guys from other brands that are designers that I admire on like a professional level, and now I talk to them like it's nothing. It's weird.
Yeah, that is cool, man. Like you get to like they say never meet your heroes, but the heroes come to you.
No, that's true, but it's a very peer-based platform that we're talking on now, right? So it's different, and it's weird to have the sense that like they also view me as a peer in a weird way, because like, who am I? Honestly, who am I? Nobody. I'm just some dude with an adorable dog.
Oh my
God. That's it.
You are way too humble.
Nah. It's just realization,
Well, let me ask you this really quick. So for the brand design and stuff like that, like I feel like marketing is something that I've been struggling with lately.
Yeah.
And like let me like let's lab this a little bit. Like if you could suggest like one thing to change, like that you think would really increase the quality of like what I'm doing, what would it be? Like maybe first thing that came to your head.
I think you have a pretty good thing going with like consistency, in the sense that like your overlays are all there. It depends on how nitpicky you want to get, like again, when I build brand guides for people, I build color palettes, secondary color palettes. I choose the entire type family that everything will be written in, from like, hey, when you see something in large text on the website, it's this font. Everything else in normal copy, it's this font. So not every company needs that, right? So for me, brand strategy is sort of the marriage of graphic design and marketing. It's kind of the thing that connects them together. And there's a large amount of people nowadays that do both. And it's a thing that like maybe 10 years ago, that term or that job didn't really exist. It was either one or the other. And now people are realizing that like, no, there's a really common thread between those two. And for sure, there are specialists at both. But that's a really unique thing. So I think identifying your core brand values, like who you are, why you matter, you know what I mean? Like what, and if you, why not them? Why not someone else, right? When you can identify those things that make you unique to yourself, everything you do from a design and visual perspective, it conveys that, right? Because graphic design is meant to solve problems. Branding is a visual handshake. If you don't have the ability to elevator pitch someone something, how can you tell them that elevator pitch in half a second with a glance, right? And then the consistency in the branding is where everything, the tone of everything, color grading, typeface, everything across multiple platforms, so that no matter where someone is viewing you or your product, there is consistency across the board. It's immediately recognizable.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you. That was I'm gonna rewatch the podcast and I'm gonna ponder that.
You
for
just
sure.
text me and we'll talk.
Yeah,
Like, it's fine.
for
You
sure,
don't, you
for
don't
sure.
need to rewatch your own
No,
podcast.
yeah, no, for sure. Well, do you do consulting for people? Like, if anyone out there is like interested, like how can they get in touch with you for like some consulting with that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so right now I'm trying not to take on as many projects because I do the monkey
Yeah.
tape thing, and this year I've been very fortunate. Even though I don't drink a lot, I started designing labels for a brewery in Belmar, New Jersey
cool,
called
like
Beach
for
House.
beer?
Yeah, and honestly, that has been one of the best things I've ever done in my life. It is challenging me to work with a new medium. There are very specific constraints in terms of what's allowed on a label,
Yeah.
the sizing of it.
So you have to make something that like wraps around the can.
Yeah.
That's cool because
So
then it's like how do I make sure like from this angle you can see this element? And
yeah,
then, like,
it's a lot of fun. And it made me a better illustrator. It made me a better designer because I had to step outside of my comfort zone. Like I literally just made a beer can for they used to do a thing called Krampus and Kringle, and it was like two beers that were kind of partners. And I think one year, I might be wrong, I think one year they did a 6-pack where it was like 3 and 3.
Yeah.
So this year I don't think they're doing Kringle. So I had to draw Krampus, and like that's a whole different thing because if you really dig into him, there's so many different ways that he could be portrayed.
Yeah.
And if you asked me like last week if I would consider drawing Krampus, I'd be like, no, why would I? Right? But now that's what the project needs.
Yeah.
So it's really cool where like almost like there are prompt books because they make those, they're like sketch pads where like you turn a page and it tells you on the top what you're supposed to draw. It's not up to me. I have to make something that makes sense for them, but also still make it feel like it fits within their world and their brand and myself simultaneously.
Yeah.
So that's been a ton of fun. So I'm currently
for that,
not trying to take on
yeah.
too many projects because I burn the candle at every end possible.
Damn.
But you can reach out to me on Instagram, and honestly, like I won't charge you guys. We could just talk about design because I'm a nerd and I like it. You know? Like,
give me someone that's excited about it.
Yeah. If someone wants to talk and they're into it, like all day, let's go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So
I'm really just getting into kind of like designing some things. Like it's cool that you noticed like the overlay that I had there.
Yeah.
I actually have different color schemes for every like genre of person.
That makes sense.
For like subject matter experts, like or like personalities like that has nothing to do with like jiu-jitsu. They're like yellow. Like I had a historian on recently, a medieval historian.
That's neat.
Yeah. And then like for blue is my musicians. And
okay.
Then, like for you, I could have did blue.
No, but the fact that again there's a color coding to it that is universal across the platform and it's consistent. That's how you build brand awareness, and brand awareness is how you build brand loyalty, and brand loyalty is how you get the subs.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Like that's how you
even
get
like do you use Discord?
No. So all right, I'm so
Yeah.
old that like I don't mess with Twitch. I don't do any of that. I don't understand. Look at me, children. I don't understand watching someone play video games on the internet when you could be playing the video game.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't mess with any of that. And it's the same. Like I know there are like producers that live stream and they Twitch like them making beats.
I know some guys that do.
You know, it's cool if I want to sit and try to learn something from like a workflow perspective, but also like I could watch this guy make music. Or I could be drawing. I could be making music. I could be doing something productive for my art and my craft. And it's like, yeah, I should probably go do that now.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. What I was going to kind of say with that too is like, well, the last one is like red is what we have, right? Red is like martial artists, and like I had an Olympic, a guy that's on like the U.S. Olympic weightlifting team on.
Oh yeah. No, I saw you guys. Yeah, you guys did the bar together, right? Yeah.
I was like, "What's a good thumbnail idea?" And he has like a gym in his basement. He's like, "Let's both clean this right now." Like there's a video, but I never ended up using it, so we just had that part of it.
That's cool though.
Pretty funny, yeah. Yeah, man, I like to just, experiment with stuff too. But in Discord, yeah, that's the thing I was saying. Even the roles that you choose, like you can do like there's different categories for like when you join, you can be like, hey, I'm like a martial artist, I'm a musician, so I don't have to have you on the podcast. You can interact with people.
That's pretty neat.
Like you can label yourself a color. So if I see your name is blue, oh, there's a musician. Yeah.
That's really smart.
Yeah.
And really organized.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
I used to work in IT, and I used to, admin like database servers and stuff. So I'm also thinking. And
that makes a lot of sense though. But that's a crazy thing where like a skill that you have is applicable to these other things that you do.
I always
they're parts of a whole, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's really important.
Definitely, man. I think like there's one place like I can grow, and like it seems like your marketing swag is like overpowered.
No, it's
good.
not. I think the thing that everybody needs though,
Mhm.
when you're talking about branding, is like it has to be authentic. It has to feel as if the brand were its own person with its own identity. And yeah, you want to put a lot of yourself into that. But like when I do like the discovery process with clients where I'm trying to like feel out kind of like making stylescapes or mood boards and things like that, it's like, I have questions that are like, hey, pretend that your company or your brand is a person. What's its favorite song? Like what kind of music does it like?
That's cool.
What, because you have to start thinking like it's something separate. And yes, there's a lot that is like organically tied, depending on the nature of your business. But there's also a point where like if you're trying to retail in like, Target and JCPenney and big box stores, like, okay, it can't feel like you per se because it has to have a larger reach. So you have to give it its own identity and its own personality, but it's also got to be authentic to the people in it, right? Those
Yeah.
core values. So, identifying that is really big.
Yeah.
Really big.
That's awesome, man. Man, you that's a lot to like ponder about too.
I have questionnaires that
feel-
I send people.
Yeah?
I'll email them to you.
Yeah.
They're pitch questions. So I named them after two of my favorite Mets pitchers of all time because I'm a big loser.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Bartolo Colon and Doc Gooden, and
Yeah.
you can just have those. But they ask all those questions that most people don't think to ask, right? And that's why it's the discovery process because we're
Yeah.
trying to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Looks like we got a comment really quick. I want to check out. Yeah, someone's just suggesting something about the podcast.
There you go.
Yep, cool.
Thank you for the help.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of want to go into like how you built like your brand specifically,
Okay.
the Hive, right? Like
Yeah.
the Bumblebee. Like where'd the inspiration come from that?
Oh, so there's a couple of things. There's a lot of stuff with bees that are really neat. The whole idea that like a bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly because of the size of its wings and the size of its body.
Yeah.
But we know that that's like universally not true. So the fact that you can do anything if you really believe and no one can tell you. Again, you're talking to someone that was told you can't draw skulls and lightning bolts, and I went, watch me. So that, but also, I don't have any ego about naming it like Chris Noonan Jiu-Jitsu. Because again, like who am I, right? Jiu-Jitsu is about people, and if you're really connecting with your community and your tribe and whatever you want to call it, there is a hive mentality where everybody is there with different individual goals, but a very common goal, and it's for everyone in the room to improve, right? That phrase or the quote, "The tide raises all ships," right?
The rising tide,
So
yep.
the way that I see it is like, if you want to go cross train somewhere, cool. If you learn something dope, bring it back and teach me, right? Come back and pollinate, right? Like
Hell
let
yeah,
me
dude.
know.
Yeah, pollinate. That's so cool, dude.
Secret Wu-Tang reference, right? Killer bees. So like again, parts of a whole.
Yeah.
I like Wu-Tang. I like the idea of that hive mentality, and not a hive mind where like, like it's a cult and we all think the same. Because honestly, if you come to my academy in Manahawkin, and I'm learning now here at Cream Ridge, even these people, our academy is kind of like the island of misfit toys, where like you're an elf, but you want to be a dentist, right? Like we're a bunch of weirdos. Most of us talk about anime all day long, like we're just a bunch of nerds, and we don't necessarily belong in all these other environments, but like we mesh really well here, and everybody is there to make the person next to them better. So that's a huge part of it for me, is like that sense of community and camaraderie where like we're gonna do it together.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's really important to me.
Yeah, man.
So.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That it has me thinking like the way that you're building your community, and even like it shows in the room. Like it's one of those things where like I can't really say on camera like what happened while we were rolling, but man,
Just vibe, right?
dude, it's
just
so
vibe,
good, man.
But I
Even
appreciate
like
it.
yeah, man. Like I my gym's a lot like that. So like it takes like knowing, like takes one to know one kind of thing.
Yeah.
And man, like in this room, dude, like I was kind of like, I love to like let Morgan work for specifically, because like I knew him since like he was like an early white belt.
Yeah.
I was like, like I was able to sweep him super easy, and he was dumping me today. I'm like, dude, I cannot believe how much better you've gotten in this short time.
It's just time. They work hard.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? And if you want to learn, like Jiu-Jitsu won't give you anything for free. You get out of it exactly what you put into it, right? So if your work ethic is good and you have even mediocre discipline, you'll get better, right? Will you be a world champion? No, because that's extra, right? Like
Yeah,
that's a whole
'cause
different
that's
thing.
extra.
It is. Listen,
Of course.
we have this culture in Jiu-Jitsu where people are like, work hard in silence. And then they make an Instagram post about it. I'm like, that's not very silent.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of that. Or they talk about working hard. You got to understand, for these guys that are like top of the food chain, top tier grapplers, top 10 in the world, that is the price of admission. That is entry fee. Hard work. And what is hard work, right? That's a whole different thing. And fairly on an individual level, everybody has to find the thing that works for them. For some guys, it's crazy conditioning and like hard, physically grueling rounds. For some dudes, it's drilling. For some guys, it's just discovering new positions and feeling out that stuff. So you again, authentically have to find what works for you, that level of authenticity, because you're the person doing jiu-jitsu, not the person you want to be, right? So that's a different story. But we have this culture where like people feel like they deserve things because they work hard. Everybody works hard if they really care about what they're doing. And in jiu-jitsu in particular, everybody works hard. You have to, because jiu-jitsu is hard. Jiu-jitsu is easy. We make it difficult, right? Like we make it difficult. On paper, jiu-jitsu is perfect. It's us. We complicate it. But like hard work is minimal. Like that, you have to do that. You have to. And if you don't, you'll wash out, you know? Now, not everybody is there for the same reason. And that's where, like, again, identifying everybody's individual goals are really important. Are you here to lose weight? Okay, you got to work hard. Are you here to learn to protect yourself? Are you here to compete? Are you here just because you don't know what else to do with your Tuesday? You know, like, that's fine too. Everyone has a place. But when you understand why you're there, you're in a better position to give to the people around you, because you're making sure that you're fulfilled, and then you can take care of the people around you, right?
Yeah.
Like, so,
No, I love that, man. And I think like, you just hit it on the nose earlier, like the rising tide raises all ships, man.
Yeah.
If I'm training, like I love to, like what you just said too, like let's pollinate. I love to like show the guys in the room, like, yo, there's a cool technique, like I found on a video, like, or maybe like I learned it, you know, while I was at the Hive.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm like, yo, like I want you guys to know this, because like I remember I was learning a lot of leg locks from like Rob Deagle and like Matt DeVore and like the guys in the Black Basement crew.
Blue Basement, right?
No, it's we
Oh,
made
the
our
black.
that,
Okay.
That was like an underground.
That shows how little I know.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's like we had an underground open mat when quarantine hit.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right,
yeah,
that makes sense.
We were the BBC, the Black Basement crew.
I like it.
It was a meme in the middle of the quarantine. But anyway, like they were showing me like hella leg locks and stuff, and like I got not shitty at leg locks because of it. And then I brought it back to the room, like just some.
I was gonna say, what's the first thing you do? You give it to someone else.
And I was like, getting everyone with it, and then they stayed away. And I'm like, dude, I need to lab these. Stop not letting me get this like entry.
So that's a really interesting thing.
So I always have to, like, dude, I need to show you this. So you're trying it on me because we both need to work it.
Yeah.
Like,
So we have a class structure here called R&D.
And I love it.
It is a lab. Yep. So earlier I said that since like we teach on a month like positional study curriculum, when do you get the opportunity to work on the thing we did last month? R&D. Right? Or whatever we're going to do next month, or something that you're stumbling on. So what I learned is sometimes, because again, I'm thinking about jiu-jitsu like all the time, I'll be doing something like grocery shopping or my laundry and be like, oh, I have an idea. I wonder if that would work. And I will literally come in some days and be like, guys, I'm not going to teach you anything I had planned. I had this wild idea. This is what I'm thinking. I need everybody in the room to separate and take 20 minutes and tell me what you come up with, this positive, negative, like everything. This is the starting point. All of you go and discover simultaneously. And then it's cool because like even the white belts, dude, this is the thing. People don't understand. White belts are invaluable because they have no preconceived notion of right or wrong, right? By the time you're a blue belt, you're like, oh, I can't turn my back this way. Oh, I can't do this that way. There's like rules to jiu-jitsu that kind of try to put you in a little box, but white belts are just uninhibited movement. And yeah, sometimes it's real spazzy, but they have no sense of right or wrong. So sometimes they do things you're like, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. I would never do that because fundamentally that seems like a terrible idea in this situation. But I think you're onto something. Yeah. Let's talk about this, right?
Like so you invert and then get your leg here.
Right? Like, yeah. So I don't believe in physical movement that anybody really invents anything. The movement pattern has been there all along. You just saw it for the first time for yourself, right? Because the human body can only move in so many specific directions in so many different ways. And since jiu-jitsu is shape and structure against shape and structure, that structure limits movement in specific directions.
Oh, for sure. Like every body.
So there's only so many places you can go. That move has always been there. You've just never noticed it before, but now you did. So the R&D thing is like a loosely structured class, but a more structured open mat where I give everybody time to drill. We do a lot of positional and situational sparring in that class. And it's just a place for everybody to come in and be like, hey, some days I'll give you something specific to work on. Otherwise, it's your time to drill. Like whatever it is you want to do. If it's something we did 3 months ago, last week, something you think we're going to do next month. And that helps me too, because then when I'm planning curriculum for the next month, I have time to drill and practice and make my mistakes and be like, okay, I know everything that we're going to do. I have all of my answers to the reactions. We're set for next month. And, you know, it's good.
That's awesome, man. So,
Nerds.
Yeah, dude. No, dude, I love it, man. I think, so, like, you really give agency, like, to, it's so cool to see, like, how much you respect, like, your students, too.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, like, you got, what ideas you come up with are valuable. I feel like that's something
For sure.
I love about Andrew, my coach. Like, I will, like, see some, like, Instagram, YouTube bull. Like, I remember when I was a white belt, I would be like, yo, does this work? And he's like,
no,
so that's
but
not really a
almost.
thing, but this is what I usually do from there. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, he gave me the light of day when I brought it up to other people, and they're like, dude, that's bullshit.
Well,
Don't even do that.
so how
ever."
dare we extinguish like the light of someone wanting to learn?
Yeah.
How dare we try to snuff that out? Instead, I'll be like, okay, so I don't think that this part's necessarily credible, and I see how these are problems, but X, Y, and Z are really, really strong starting points. So now let's start working it for something that's applicable to your personality, your style of jiu-jitsu, your physical ability. Like, let's put it together. I'm excited. If my students want to learn and they want to talk about jiu-jitsu with me, like, then I'm doing my job, right? If you just come in and you're like, I don't want to be here, I'm failing miserably. So to make an environment where people feel comfortable really exploring and like expressing themselves, that's really important to me. That's really important because I am very much, like I said, like autodidact. I do all these things in weird creative fields that like I need to be able to just make something. It doesn't matter if it's movement, visual, or like, you know, sonic. I need to make things. So I want my guys to want to make things, right? And that's it.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome, man. So do you have like who how do you pick like what do you love in a student? Like, how do you find like, oh, this is a student that like, you know, earns my extra, like, hey, you know, come aside really quick kind of thing?
Nope, don't do that.
No,
I have no favorites.
no favorites.
If you want to be my favorite student, it's whoever's working the hardest that day.
Yo,
Straight up.
that day, right?
Straight up that day. Because if you crush it today, but then you drag ass tomorrow and be like, bro, what are you doing? Come on, you're better than this,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's go. So no, there are no favorites because I am incredibly attached and simultaneously detached from everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you have to be. The minute the room gets weird where someone's getting extra attention, if you're getting extra attention because you're the person with like matches coming up and no one else is,
Of course.
that's
yeah,
a different
that's
story.
A different story,
And
of course.
everybody else wants that attention when it's their turn for that thing.
Mhm.
So everybody gets all of me equally and evenly. Since 2013, I've literally only missed 2 tournaments that I've had students at. Otherwise, from start to finish, from 4 years old to 50 years old, I've coached every match with every student I've ever had compete. And I like literally went to California to coach a kid at Worlds, Pans, I don't remember. I was in the air longer than I was on the ground. I like red-eyed from Philly to California, landed, ate lunch, coached him, red-eyed back home in Philly, drove straight to the academy and taught a 9 a.m. class for my 4 to 6 year olds.
You're a goon, dude.
No, but that is the responsibility I put on myself as a head instructor. I didn't open a jiu-jitsu academy so I wouldn't be there, right? I want to teach. I want to coach. So I'm going to do it, right?
What
And that was it.
inspired you to take, like, it seems like the perfectionist aspect of things is huge. Like, it's definitely present in you.
That's the
and I
type
know-
A. Yeah, that's the type A thing.
Yeah.
But instead of like type A and I'm going to like alpha male and rip someone in half, I just self-implode and I'm like, oh, you're the worst ever. Why are you like this? Right. And
Yeah.
it's like super self-deprecating.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
How do you deal with, like, I know, like, with my own art, like we were kind of discussing, like you're saying, if this isn't perfect, it gets, you know,
Deleted
recycled in.
immediately.
Yeah.
Deleted immediately. Yeah, no.
I've only just recently started posting like videos of my own music, like or just videos of my performances, right? Because like I can sit here and like in the studio
tweak
and
yeah.
tweak for like I can make a 3-minute song in like 3 days. You know, you give me like 72 hours, I'll make something great. But when you're live, like, and I love to perform
it's
live,
gonna be what it's gonna be.
and then I see a footage of my stuff back, dude, I would do the same thing. I would just delete everything. And I only like just recently started going, you know what, dude? I've gotten compliments about this during the live performance. I'm going to post it. And then like the feedback I get on like Instagram and stuff is positive too.
So a big shift for me, actually, weirdly enough, has nothing to do with anything that was original to me. I became friends with a guy, I'm not going to name drop. He is a celebrity in every right. He also does jiu-jitsu, and he's a blue belt. I won't say I became friends with him. We became acquaintances on Instagram, and we've talked a handful of times. But I would see his stories, and there was a point where he was talking about something that was happening in the industry, and he was talking about people that complain more than they create, having way too much power in that industry. And my brain went like, he's not talking to you at all, but my brain went like, I complain way more than I create, and I need to stop that. And that's where like releasing music came back in. I saw that and I was like, okay, from now on, like my mantra is create more than I complain. And that has really stopped the like perfectionist thing, because I just need to put it out. I need to stop complaining about the fact that it's not good enough. I need to stop complaining about the fact that like I was a little off time with this one thing, or I didn't get that shade of blue right when I mixed my acrylic paint. Like nobody knows that. I know that. And yes, sometimes like with music, there are things that are like very audible, and you're like, oh.
But then, like,
But also,
even other times, like I've shown like my friends that are musicians, are like, dude, that was awesome. I'm like, dude,
yeah.
Did you hear the vibrato? That wasn't 60 hertz, bro.
So
like, you know what I mean?
we get critical of people that talk on the internet and don't do, right? Like a guy competes, wins, or loses a match, and everybody's like, oh, he's trash, blah 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 blah. But they're not doing it, right? I was doing that to myself. I was doing it to myself. I was like, I made this thing, and then I was like, it's trash, it's garbage, delete it, throw it out. And I was like, man, I'm not even putting stuff out, and I'm hating on myself.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough of that. Whew. And then I just started, and when that happened, more design work came my way, better opportunities came my way. People are listening to music, better jiu-jitsu opportunities came. It's crazy. It's crazy. The minute I stopped like being in my own way, all the things I wanted to happen were happening. And it's like, imagine if I had done this 10 years ago.
That's awesome.
Just not been a moron.
Can you like, if like in a few words, could you give advice to someone that's struggling with the same kind of thing?
Yeah. Stop it. Stop it. Like just choose to stop and be like, it's not perfect, but progress versus perfection. Because it'll never be perfect. And I know that. Like I remind people, like it's my job to remind people of that daily. And here I am being my own worst enemy. But that's a normal thing for humans. We don't listen to our own advice, right?
Yeah.
So you got two choices. You can either obsess over the thing and really try to perfect it and be unsatisfied no matter where you end up, or you can put it up and go, okay, that's cool. It's not great. I'm gonna do better the next time. And then just keep at it and keep at it. It's like drilling, but it's drilling in the sense that like authentically exposing yourself and your flaws and being like, you know what? This is me. It's okay. It's okay. And I'll do better the next time, you know, and keep striving. So creating more than I complain. I've become a far more positive person, despite the fact that earlier I said I was dead inside. But like in terms of the way that I interact with people, and I try really hard not to complain about insignificant things, because at the end of the day, I teach jiu-jitsu. I'm able to draw and design and paint and make music and do all these things that I've been doing since I was a kid. And like, they are what makes me me. What do I really have to complain about? Like, honestly. So, perspective. Yeah. Nothing matters. We live on a floating rock. Like, we live on a floating rock. All the things that we think are really important don't even matter. The giant ball of fire and gas in the sky is going to explode one day, and the thing that I was hung up about last week will be irrelevant when that happens, right? So, like, I don't know. I think I teetered on the edge of existentialism and nihilism during quarantine, and I came out of it just like, healed. Yeah. Everything is gone, and I'm gonna just make stuff now. That's awesome. So it was cool. Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
And that's honestly, that's how like Mikoto and everything kind of happened, was because of that. So,
that's pretty fresh. I had assumed that it was kind of more of an established
2019.
thing. Yeah. Oh wow, dude.
So the way that worked, I got the job for Monkey Tape, and one of the things on the agenda was rash guards, and I've made rash guards for the Academy. But bro, it's Monkey Tape. I gotta like outdo myself on this. And we haven't released rash guards because we decided that at the time it wasn't the right time for the brand to release one. They're coming.
It's coming, yeah. That's cool.
But in my mind, I was like, okay, This is like one of the, for me as like a jiu-jitsu nerd, this is like one of the biggest clients I've ever had. Like I don't want to screw this up. I'm beyond confident in my ability with the apparel design. I want to make sure that the rash guard thing is cool because as a digital printing process with sublimation, it affords me so many opportunities. And I was like, I'm going to try something out just to test if this is even a possibility that will translate to this medium. So I made like, I had to pay a minimum order, right? Like kind of thing, an MOQ. So I had to get like, I don't know, like 20 rash guards made. And it ended up being the very first one, which is the Wings of Victory. So I like literally in my room had this thing that I drew, created this pattern, put this texture, and was like, okay, I'm gonna just like make a fake brand and not say anything about it, right? And it was literally just like, I'm gonna make it to test it so that if it bombs, I didn't waste Monkey Tape's money.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna sort it out. Like, I'll do it. I
Yeah.
could sell 20 rash guards to friends. It's fine. I didn't tell people that Mikoto Brand was like my thing. It was just, in fact, my own students thought that it was a company I was working for because for a litmus test, I didn't want anybody buying it feeling like they were supporting me and needed to. I wanted people to buy it because they really dug it, right? Like they liked it. So I like, there are still people that don't know that I own it. And that's fine. I don't want you to pretend you didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So I made the rash guards and my gi sponsor, the guy's in aesthetic, and this dude from France named Jeremy from a company called Clean Hugs, which makes phenomenal soap. Now they've expanded into a thing called Artiste Martial, and they make beautiful gis. Beautiful gis, yeah. So
Kevin Bradley let me touch one.
yeah.
Nice.
That was the split that they made with aesthetic. The Andy from aesthetic and Jeremy were like, you should do that again. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like I sold like 20 rash guards. It's not a big deal. And they're like, no. You should do that again. And these are my friends that are like creative guys that like I really, really like and admire. And I was like, okay. So I started painting and I made the Shinobi and the Bad Luck Backtakers one, which you can see. They're not for sale anymore, but they're around. And I was like, maybe we can do some more. So I made this crew neck sweatshirt with a Hanya mask, the one that Kevin wore, and a baseball tee that just said like 10-minute rounds because I'm a psychopath and I like 10-minute rounds. And then Jeremy from Clean Hugs put me in touch with these two guys. He's like, yo, they like your stuff and they kind of want to know if you want them to retail it in France. And I was like, wait, what? I've released one rash guard and I'm like not even dropping the second thing yet. Like, what? So this opportunity came along and these guys from a website called the Gi Store bought rash guards from me to resell in France. So before my second drop, I had an international retailer and was sitting like this most of the day, trying to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth while I didn't have a panic attack. Because what is happening? This was something I did to test for something else, and now people are encouraging me and they're buying it, and I'm confused. Then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. I decided early into the lockdown that I was not gonna make things. I had a little bit of money from the way that the releases had gone, and I wasn't gonna make new things and try to sell them because people are like losing their jobs left and right.
It's a bad time.
Gyms are closing, and how dare I be like, hey man, you can't feed your family, but buy this rash guard you can't train in yet. Like, what is wrong with me? So I was like, no. I'm going to paint, I'm going to draw, I'm going to keep doing my thing throughout quarantine, but I'm not going to promote the company. And like I made a post about it, and a little bit before that, the guys from the Gi Store put me in touch with a guy named Frederic, who is the man. And he runs this thing called The Real Artitude, which is like an art collective. And then he does a thing called Public Domain, which is like a lifestyle magazine. And he wanted me to be in it. And again, it was like I felt like when Alan Grant like saw the Brachiosaurus in like Jurassic Park, and you're like, put your head between your knees kind of thing. And you're just hyperventilating, like, what is going on? What is going on? And like, I'm not kidding, dude. I had like the worst imposter syndrome when that thing dropped. It was one of the best days of my life, but I looked at this magazine full of these incredible artists, and I was like, everybody in this magazine can make the things that I make in like 35 seconds, and I can't make any of the things that these guys make. And then Kevin Bradley put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, but none of them made it in this magazine. And I was like, he's like, there's only your work in there, and then there's their work in there. They didn't make the things you made, you did. And I was like, you're right. Hyperventilate. So like literally when I got out of my own way, I got an international retailer on something that wasn't even a real company. And I got featured in a magazine with like literally wildly talented artists that I was like, I have no business in here. And I like literally wanted to hide. But it made me really appreciate the fact that, like, if you just get out of your own way, all of this good stuff can happen. All of this can work. And you can do all the things you want to do if you just stop being a moron about it. Right? So, like, that's the advice. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. Don't talk about it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't doubt yourself. Just do it.
Hell yeah.
Put it out and criticize it in your own head for the next 6 months, but it's out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah. So
Make
that's
the
a big
next one
thing.
better if it flopped. Yeah.
So, I mean, now we're out of quarantine, and Mikoto kind of came back.
Where'd you get the name? I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Yeah, I wanted to get there because that's the thing that we're talking about.
Go ahead.
The reason that you won't find any of the stuff is, as a noun, it would mean king or lord. But as an adjective, the word Mikoto means precious or priceless. Everything that I do is limited edition. So for me, it started off as a project to test ideas as an artist and a designer before I blew it for a client, right? So all I'm interested in doing with Mikoto Brand is personally, selfishly, becoming a better artist, becoming a better designer. Simultaneously, alongside that, I really want to try to elevate the level of, like, casual streetwear in the jiu-jitsu community. There's a lot of it, politely, I don't vibe with, and I think it's kind of lame. There are some brands out there, man, that I can only hope and aspire to reach the platform that they've reached and do the things that they do. But I also want to do my own thing. So I put out these, like, embroidered t-shirts it's a plain t-shirt with a scooped bottom hem called the Classico, because everybody just needs a good solid t-shirt with kanji embroidered on it. There were 2 colorways of that, and then we just wrapped, they're in production now. I did a pre-sale for 2 colorways of a crew neck sweatshirt with, like, hand-stitched applique that was inspired by, like, old college sweaters, and it says Mikoto with the kanji under it.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we did a high bar jogger, again, cut and sew, where, like, these were made from individual pieces stitched together. Like, I picked every detail, got different versions of them shipped to me as samples, and went, not that fabric, yes, this fabric. Like, I'm super hands-on, breaking out tape measures. Hey, let's move this up 3.5 inches. Let's scale this down.
That's
like,
awesome, man.
It is all the things I wanted to do when I wanted to make t-shirts for bands, right? Like, I want to make someone's favorite t-shirt, and I'm literally getting them made custom to every detail that we have. So, like, the high bar jogger, one back pocket, no zippers on the pockets, move the bar up, like all that stuff. And that's, it's a pair of joggers. It's gray, a black bar that says Mikoto in individual letters, and then gray again at the top of the waist. And I just want to make stuff that's, like, you can wear it out and it doesn't scream that you do jiu-jitsu. I have stuff that does say jiu-jitsu on it, but I have friends that buy it and support me, and they don't train at all. And they're just like, no, it's a dope sweatshirt. And I was like, all right, cool. So now we've got some things coming out. We're sponsoring Emerald City.
Oh, snap. Nice. I'll be the one running your commercials then?
Yeah. So we're sponsoring Emerald City. I'm going to do a little pop-up there with some of the extras for that.
Sick,
trying to get a couple new rash
You're doing,
cards
like, a
in.
pop-up, like, tent to sell?
Yeah.
Dude, you better put something aside for me.
I will.
I'm running the production.
I'm trying to get some new rash cards in. We have a limited edition print that is specific to only people at that event. I will not put it on my website. You cannot buy it. Once they're gone, they're gone.
That's sick.
And it's only for people that are in the venue at the event. And it's a super rad print. And I hate everything I make, but I think this one's kind of cool. And then we're doing something really, really special for the bracket winner. And retroactively for bracket winners. I can't talk too much about it, but there is some cool stuff happening for the actual competitors that I think will be cool for me, but, like, they'll also make Emerald City, like, stand out in a really cool and unique way too.
Yeah.
And again, the tide raises all ships. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And I kind of pitched it, and they were like, that's a great idea. Let's do it. So that's happening, and I think we're gonna drop our first gi maybe the beginning of the next year. Maybe the beginning of the year. It's my second prototype is coming. First one was way closer than I thought it would be. Because I was like, I've never designed a custom gi before. This is going to be a nightmare. Yeah. And it was, like, honestly, like, all right, we're like way in the park on this one. So a couple small details. That will be limited edition. And I'm trying to figure out something I want to do with that to make it really cool, and, like, certificates of authenticity kind of thing, and, like,
oh, wow,
all that. Because, like, when if you ever order anything from me, it's not just like, oh, you get a t-shirt and like some stickers in a bag. Like even the thank you cards I told you earlier.
Yeah.
I hand carved a linoleum block with the kanji on it. I print it because I'm really big into like ukiyo-e art, which is like pictures of the floating world, the old school like Japanese woodblock prints. Is my favorite art style of all time. I kind of translate that into some tattooy things and then some like real minimalistic graphic design stuff. So again, like it's me, it's my brain. But we don't have brick and mortar stores where you can walk in and be like, dude, this is cool. So how do I create that experience so it's not just like you spend a couple bucks on a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a rash guard? Like, how do I make it something that when you get it, you're like, this is pretty cool. And I'm the kind of person that like, if this really starts working and panning out, like I'll make custom boxes and tissue paper and do wild stuff because I'm crazy and I just want it to be, I want to make your favorite t-shirt. I want to make your favorite pair of joggers. I want you to open a box and be like, yo, I did not think when I ordered this from some random website that this was going to be the thing that came.
Yeah.
So like, I'm probably going to do wild stuff for the gi just to be like, it's our first one. It's small batch. And, like you're going to get something that's not just like a pair of pajamas, you know?
Dude, that's amazing, man. You are like on some like next level creative thing that's making me go like, oh dude, we need to like create more. We're doing a disservice.
Create more and complain less, right? Like I just want to make things and it's like this innate need. And that's why I think I do all three of these things. Cause there are times where like the Krampus thing, I'm sitting there drawing and I'm like, this is not working today. I can either sit for the next 5 hours and try to force something I know won't happen, or I'm going to get up and go play guitar and like reset my brain. Yeah. And I just walk out of the room. That's my office. And I walk into the room with all the music stuff. And then I go, okay, this is going to happen now. And then I go back and I'm like, oh, I feel better. Right. So it doesn't matter what it is. There is something in me that since I could hold a pencil or hum a tune was like, make things. And I can't explain what it is or why it is, but if I don't do it, I become like super lethargic and miserable and you don't like me. You know what I mean? Like you don't like me and I need to.
That's so like hard to believe. Like just knowing like the Chris that I've met and like haven't interacted with so many times has always been this energetic like ball of fire, you know?
Yeah, but it's very much like taking a fish out of water, right? Like it feels like that where it's like there's this thing that I need and I can't have it. You know what I mean? So definitely. That's really important to me and it's been good.
Can you tell me a little bit about like, I want to talk like we can hit all three of these tiers of things, but can you tell me about like musicians that inspire you? I want to know about like some artists like of visual art that inspire you, and I want to know some jiu-jitsu guys that inspire you. At
me in the comments, we can argue about it, but you'll be wrong every time. Stevie Wonder is the greatest single musician of all time, and the Beatles are the best band of all time. I don't want to hear anything else about it. After that, I have. Like we talked about with the music that we listen to in class, there's a lot. The Deer Hunter, DEAR, is one of the single best bands of all time. Good, they're so good. I got onto them when he had left.
Masterpieces,
yeah,
dude.
When he left Receiving Into Sirens. I'm a huge Coheed and Cambria fan.
Nice.
The Isley Brothers are responsible for all of your favorite 90s rap songs because they were what was sampled. So there's that, but I like jazz. B.B. King is my guy for blues. Eric Clapton is one of my favorite guitar players.
That's awesome.
You can hate on him all you want. John Mayer is one of the best guitar players our generation will ever see.
Do you follow any like virtuoso guitarists at all?
I watch him, but like I can't play like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like a weird thing about a guy like either Mateus Asatu or like
he's so good,
I know.
I love Mateus Asatu.
Or like John Mayer though, like they're so good that it's not even inspiring anymore. It just makes me feel terrible, and I'm like, I'll never do it, right? But like it's cool. Yeah, David Gilmour is like. Besides my father, David Gilmour is the reason I started playing guitar. I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. And then like I heard Van Halen, I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. Right? Like everything changed then. So yeah, no, I think that's kind of where I lie is in that land. But I appreciate a lot of things. Like I don't like country music because I can't relate to it.
Yeah.
But like chicken picking is cool. It's really cool. Like that style of guitar playing is dope.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I'm the same way. Like with country music, I'll just like go on this really quick. Like I don't like country music. Like I will never like throw it on. Like I never throw it on as like I'm like folding laundry or something like that. But like when I want to see some impressive like country stuff, like Brad Paisley he's ripping on stuff. Like,
Derek Trucks, that dude and the slide, bro.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Do you like if you don't know them, Joey Landreth and Ariel Posen are Canadian dudes that they play slide guitar, but they play baritone strings. Joey is like a gold top Les Paul P90 kind of guy, and Ariel does this like. It's like a resonator, like it's an all aluminum guitar, but it's like solid. It looks like a Telly or a Strat, and it sounds like super swampy. But they put baritone strings on them because they play in like the old Delta blues tunings, open E, open G. Like those dudes, I can listen to those guys play all day, and I will never be able to play like them.
Yeah,
but man, like I brush my teeth to that. You know what I mean? Like
for sure. That's awesome.
So yeah, but I like all music. You know, Biggie's the best rapper of all time. You can at me about that too. I have hard opinions. I have strong, hard opinions on this stuff.
Dude, I think one of my like top 3 favorite songs to roll to, Hypnotize.
If Dead Wrong comes on, I am like unbeatable. If Dead Wrong comes on, you could pass my guard 9 times, and if that song comes on, that will be the last one that ever happens for the duration of this track. Like I don't know what it is. There's something about that song, and it's like the most vulgar song of all time. But when Dead Wrong comes on, that's it. Just go time. I don't know why. I don't know why. It just happens. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's so funny, man.
So yeah. Music is.
That's
like,
awesome, man.
I can't imagine life without it.
You know who Mateus Asado is, dude?
Bro.
No one watching this knows.
Look him up.
Seriously.
And it's crazy because like, he used to play for that pop artist Jessie J and like Tori Kelly. He melts faces, but he also has that like his own like little neo soul style with like the double stops and like it's so good. It's so good.
Very tasteful. Like he doesn't, he
doesn't overplay.
You can find his shreddy stuff, but dude, like what he likes to play is so tasteful.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah,
I'm glad you know him.
Hell yeah, dude. We're friends. We just become best friends.
Do you want to go do karate in the garage?
Hell yeah. So let's talk a little bit about like visual artists.
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna be as keen on these.
No, that's okay. So Hokusai is my favorite artist of all time. Factually, he's sort of one of the first graphic designers of all time. Ukiyo-e artists started off as portrait artists for people in like kabuki theater. And they would make because there were no pictures, there were no cameras at that era, so they would make these woodblock prints or paintings of artists as portraits, and then you would buy them, and the actor or actress would sign it, right? So like they were kind of the first graphic designers who were like, hey, we're gonna make these things and posters for theater. And what's wild is if you don't know about like relief printing, woodblock printing, linoleum, it doesn't really matter the medium right now. You carve out negative space so that the part that stays raised is the part that gets ink applied to it like a stamp, and then you put the paper on top or put it through a roller and you use a brayer and go over it. For every single color that happens, you have to carve an entirely different block with an entirely different amount of negative space raised and carved out. So when they make 4-color prints, they had to make 4 different blocks carved by hand by a different guy, and then someone else would mix ink. So there were like 3 guys involved in this. One was the artist that drew it, one was the wood carver, and then the third was the person that would ink and actually do it. But there were no registration marks back then. There were no computer printers. They lined this up by hand, and they are bananas with how accurate they are. And I'm sure there were some bad runs and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
But like that style of art to me was like, dude, so many people had a hand in this for a while. And then over time, like one guy did everything kind of thing, right? Like as time went on. But they were like the first graphic designers. So Hokusai, the woodblock print, like Ukiyo-e thing, like that, like there's a few guys that do it now. It is an art form that is like true craftsmanship. And people don't understand. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild. So that's a thing. There are 2 guys, the Clark brothers, that run a thing called Invisible Creature, a design studio. I got into them when they were like early 2000s, like so they used to be called Asterisk, and they do large amounts of like album art and CD covers and things like that. But they also do stuff for like Lego and NASA and wild stuff. And they are hugely inspirational to me because they can do like metal band covers and then something that looks like it belongs coming out of Pixar. Right? Like the range that those guys have is wild. So I love their work. Always have. There's so many guys. I like to prioritize.
Do you like graffiti artists and stuff? Like that's one domain that I do know. Like I don't know if you look directly above you, if you know that Banksy piece.
Yeah. No, so Banksy is like a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
Because like
completely.
Who is Banksy?
Yeah.
And all that, right. But no, the wheat paste stencil thing. Like I love that. Banksy's a good guy for that. And then Shepard Fairey, although
Oh,
everybody has their
yeah.
own opinions on him.
I
Yeah.
like him, dude.
Yeah. No, dude, that stuff is cool. That stuff is really cool, and he's been at it for so long. You know what I mean? For so long. So that he's cool. It depends, because like I look at visual art for different purposes. There's a difference between art and design. Design is meant to solve a problem. Art is meant to create an emotional response from you, right? One way or the other.
Have you ever heard the quote that art is like the human's best attempt at holding a mirror up to nature? I can't remember.
I have
who
not heard that,
from,
but
it
yeah,
was powerful.
no.
It had me like
yeah.
pondering, like,
Yeah.
that's
So
deep.
design is meant to solve problems, and it shouldn't really evoke an emotional response from you, because it's either working or it's not. It's good or it's not. It's black and white.
Yeah.
When you get there, sleeveless hoodies from Mikoto. Never, ever, ever.
Someone wants to know if you like Pac.
So again, I'm old and I have strong opinions about this. When I started listening to that music, you were not allowed to like both.
Yeah.
You were not allowed to like both. So no, I'm East Coast forever. Although like NWA is dope. Dr. J is cool and responsible for an entire sound, right? Like that man created a whole genre,
Talk about
right?
iconic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
So, you know, Tupac exists. He's cool. Like, it's not my cup of tea. And I think at that point, that's just me being old and closed-minded in a very stupid and immature way.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a ride with it for now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, know yourself, right?
Yeah,
know
yeah.
yourself. I gotta have a flaw or two there. So, sleeveless hoodies. He's killing me. He's killing me. No, never. Never.
That's amazing.
Just, I will make a puffy vest. I will. I love bubble vests.
Yeah,
I
like
will
the
make
life
one.
preserver, John. Marty
Kinda,
McFly.
but a little different. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will make one of those. Mark my words.
Mhm.
Again, I want to do things that are different. Right?
Yeah, I love it, dude.
And I have no problem. Like Public Domain has a ton of artists that are like wildly good, and the guys in the Artitude thing are also crazy good. So I got exposed to a whole bunch of those guys. I also really like for me, because I push pixels and everything's got to be lined up and everything's got to be like on this grid, sort of. When I paint, I do very non-representational abstract stuff, and it's just a chance for me to like clear my mind and move my hands on autopilot, right? So there's a girl or woman, she's a grown woman, named Monica Perez, who does beautiful abstract work. A lot of it can be very monochromatic, but sometimes she mixes in wild textures like clay and stuff like that. So I mean,
that's cool.
yeah, dude, she's really, really cool. So when I look at visual stuff, it depends, because there's a bunch of like 3D animators that like I drool over, and one day I'm gonna learn to animate. One day, we'll put it on the list with all the time I don't have.
For real.
I'll get there. No, because you know what I will do is I will find a way to be like, oh, I got this job with this client where I need to animate a thing. Guess I got to learn how to do it now, and I'm gonna force myself to do it. Because if I say that I'm gonna do it because I want to, I won't.
Exactly.
As soon as pressure is on, I'm like, oh,
Dude, that's
lied on the resume.
Dude, like during quarantine, like I fell off of music. Like you fell.
I
like,
came
back
in.
on.
Yeah, I fell back
dude,
in.
Like I wasn't performing, so I'm like, why even practice? Like, dude, I got so bad and shit. Like I would practice like sometimes when I'd be inspired, but like I used to practice 2 hours a day every day.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But then like, you know, I was like, dude, I need to get back to guitar. It's who I am, blah, blah, blah. I need to just start booking shows. And then I booked a show and I'm like, all right. And the next day I'm like, I'm doing
doing
it.
it.
I don't even know how to play anything anymore.
But you did it. But you did it, right?
100%.
Like you said you were going to, and you saw it through.
Yeah.
And that is
the pressure got
huge.
me on it. Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Sometimes you got to put yourself under the gun.
Yeah.
Like hold yourself accountable.
Hell
Hold yourself
yeah.
accountable. Because everybody else will be like, you should do it. And if
Mhm.
you don't take the step, because Lord knows, I've had enough people carry me along, kicking and screaming the whole way. Like, Chris, you should do this. Chris, you should do this. I'm like, no. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Shut up and do it.
This guy wants to pay you to do it. Oh, I guess I'll do it.
I guess I'll do it now, right? Like, and that's a wild thing. Like, I guess it's good enough if they want to give me money for it,
Yeah.
right? Like, or to be featured in something like Public Domain, or be asked on something like this. Like, I don't know why you want to talk to me. I like literally, I stay home all day. I don't do
Dude,
anything.
everyone I've talked to who brought your name up has always said amazing things. I'm like, dude, I
They're
need
lying.
to meet this man.
They're
They
lying,
weren't
dude.
lying. I met you, and it was all true. It's
Nah,
not-
nah,
I guess
well,
I got to
thank
see you
you.
play guitar yet.
Oh no, I get there. I get there.
Oh man. So yeah, that's awesome with like the visual artists and stuff. Yeah, it's so
Disney.
cool that you know like some graffiti
Disney,
guys
for,
too.
for visual stuff too.
Yeah.
Disney and
Yeah.
Marvel. Like,
Yeah,
big
Oh,
time.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Oh, really, Marvel?
Yeah,
So you're Marvel over DC?
100%.
What's your favorite comic run in Marvel? Like maybe like superheroes. Like like who's your favorite superhero? Spider-Man? Gambit. Dude,
Gambit
that's
is my
awesome.
favorite superhero. Spider-Man is right up there in second. Captain America sort of trumps them all because growing up, like Indiana Jones, The Rocketeer, Captain America, like all my heroes punch Nazis. So
Hell yeah,
if Captain America's not like your favorite superhero, I feel like you're kind of blowing it because like what did he do? He fist fought like Nazi extremists in Hydra, right? Like you gotta back that. You gotta back that.
You gotta back that.
But Gambit has the coolest superpower, I think. Again, the ability to turn anything with potential energy into kinetic energy, which is everything.
Yeah.
Everything. That's dope.
Hell yeah.
Spider-Man is just cool, man.
I
Like,
love
man,
Spider-Man,
they got that right. Yeah. So I will say this.
Who's your favorite Spider-Man in the movies?
Honestly, I think Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I think I didn't feel like they were trying to Ralph Macchio us. And I know that now, obviously, like, things have happened and he's gotten older and the character's the same age. But, like, Tobey Maguire was a grown man playing a high school student. I was like, stop that.
Yes.
You could have found a kid. Stop that. So,
funny.
yeah, no, I think that he's just perfect in it, honestly. Like, it's the first time I saw, like, Peter Parker and I was like, yeah, that's him.
Oh, yeah.
That's him.
Checks out.
Yeah. So I really like him. DC is cool. DC is cool. Batman is cool, but he's not a superhero. If I were 6 foot and had more money, I could theoretically be Batman.
Yeah.
I know martial arts. Like, I could be him. I'm just not tall enough, and that suit weighs a lot. Also, I'm an artist, so not rich by any means. But I feel like it's an attainable thing.
Yeah.
And Batman's cool. The storyline is cool. The villains are cool. Outside of that, everything else DC makes is lame. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Superman is cool if you look at it.
Battle you on this.
No, you're
so
cool.
Much.
Superman is cool if you look at it through like the Kill Bill lens, where like Clark Kent was his portrayal of humanity, like all that kind of stuff. Like that's pretty neat. But Lex Luthor, like you're trying to build, beachfront property, like go away. Sinestro, Green Lantern gets beat up by the color yellow. I know they retconned it, but like you get beat up by the color yellow. I have a hoodie that can beat you up, bro. Like come on. So I always hear the argument from people that like DC has better villains.
I don't know.
Only in Batman. Only in Batman.
Here's let me talk about DC.
No, bring it on.
So, the movies, Marvel wins most of the time.
Yeah.
Like 90% of the time.
I hear they do really well with their TV shows though for DC. And the animated stuff I hear they do okay
animated
with.
I think they beat Marvel. And only in like the newer stuff, because back in the day, the animated Spider-Man from the 90s is fucking, it's the best.
Dude, the X-Men from then too.
X-Men Evolution was and the classic X-Men.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have a poster.
But I feel like they're two different markets.
Crazy.
Like
yo, for sure.
Marvel markets their animated stuff towards kids and adults that want to watch.
Yeah.
DC markets their animated stuff to adults, right?
But like Young Justice, Teen Titans, like
fair,
dude, those are iconic.
Fair.
Right?
Teen Titans is pretty great actually.
Yeah. So my big things, like I don't know if you see next to the Banksy piece, we got a Watchmen poster right there.
Yes. Oh, all right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fringe stuff,
those kind of stuff. I was gonna say like
love,
Constantine. Like I don't count them as like DC because they don't exist necessarily. I know they put Constantine in like a couple of the animated things too, but like they're different, right? The Watchmen is a little bit different, so I don't count them quite in that same way.
I love like more fringed heroes. Like I love Ghost Rider comics.
Cool. Yeah.
The movies made me so sad.
Well, it's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
You get what you get.
What are you gonna do?
You get what you get. This is the man that made the Jiu-Jitsu movie.
Yeah. Oh, dude, don't even get me started. Did you see that?
I did.
Oh, I didn't see it.
I knew what it was gonna be though. I knew what it was gonna be going.
I knew what
it
was gonna be. That's awesome. Dude.
I went to see Tony Jaa in it. Right.
Oh,
like
all right,
that
fair
was
enough. I love Tony Jaa. So
Ong Bak, the protector. Like
that
kind of stuff,
dude.
right?
Ong Bak is awesome. Hell
Yeah.
dude. Do you let me ask you like for like while we're on like the superhero thing a little bit here, like who do you think is like a supervillain that you agree with?
Oh, so that's a very different thing. I think the way that they portrayed Thanos in this current MCU thing made him kind of relatable, where it's like, hey, like the thought that he's trying, like I don't know what he's trying to get. Well, that's it. Did the ends justify the means, right?
Yeah.
Like I get what you're trying to do. This isn't the best way to go about it, but that's what makes a good villain, is that sense where like there's something about it that's relatable, and you're like, oh, I kind of think he's also sort of maybe a little right, but also not. Like that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's every half.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So that's a thing. But conversely, if you compare it to the comic books, that was not the reason he did it.
Yeah.
He just liked a girl.
Yeah. Exactly.
He was just, trying to slide in the DMs. So, you know, in that regard, when you look at it like authentically, you're like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, you have the hots for the death.
I don't know. I like anti-heroes. Like Punisher's cool.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Punisher Max is one of my favorite runs. Punisher Max is cool. And there's this wild part in Punisher Max where Kingpin's kid gets killed. And like, as a villain, the wife is upset. And he's like, we'll make another one. And I was like, bro, they wrote that. They wrote that. Like, that's how that guy. What a horrible person. And that's where it's like, it's not a relatable thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I was like,
oh
man.
no, 100%. Kingpin's super evil. I love Kingpin as a villain.
I also don't think that he's like one of the best villains they've got. But like in that run, I was like, that's a bad man.
Yeah.
That's a bad man. That was crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Somebody wrote that down.
Somebody wrote that down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Carnage is dope. Although I have
did
not.
you see the new
no,
Venom?
Nope. I'm not gonna ruin the villain I like. I know. But it's Sony. Like, when do they get it right? How many cracks out of Fantastic Four and Spider-Man until we get it? Right? Like,
for real.
You know, we're there.
Damn. You didn't see Venom.
Where's that
I'll try not to spoil anything.
That's all right.
They did the graphic team, like the CGI team, did a very good job.
Cool.
I like Woody Harrelson as an actor.
I think he would be a pretty good. Yeah.
The rest of it was not my favorite thing.
I didn't like the first one very much, so yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, the first one was also, oh god, same thing. CGI was great, like that, pretty good symbiote.
Visually,
effects.
yeah,
but
visually
like,
stunning.
what the fuck is this storyline, dude? Please, God. Oh my god.
Well, again, Disney.
Yeah.
The mouse.
Yeah.
Right?
The mouse.
The mouse. Yo, Disney's like one of my favorite places on earth.
Yo.
Hard. I know there's a lot of adults that are like too hard for that, but it's the Magic Kingdom. It's the happiest place on earth. If you go to Disney and you mean mug, there's like something wrong with you, right? Like, I eat more ice cream there than anywhere else on earth, and it's the same ice cream you could buy everywhere, but it's in Disney.
Yeah,
it's different.
Gotta pay $8 for this cup.
Happily. I have no aspirations to have like a fancy, expensive car. I want to be able to live my life enough that I can afford to join the Disney Vacation Club and go. Like, that's where I'm trying to get to right now in my life. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So now that we hit the 2 domains that I mentioned, let's hit the final domain.
Yeah.
Martial artists that inspire you.
I mean, it's got to be Bruce Lee because he's the whole reason that I wanted to do any of it.
Absolutely.
Shortly after him, I got very into like the Shaw Brothers films. So like Gordon Liu, that guy was huge in my childhood. Like entered 36 Chambers, stuff like that. Like, he was huge. And then it was cool with like Kill Bill to see him kind of come back and have 2 roles. So that was neat. Tony Jaa is right up there in terms of like actual guys that were not just making movies, like Van Damme and stuff like that. Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Jackie Chan's like, dudes, like Jackie Chan got me into parkour.
Yeah,
like,
Rumble in the Bronx is a great movie too.
Dude,
yeah, you know.
Yeah. Rush Hour classics.
Yes,
dude.
yes. Jet Li, the run he had near the end with like Fearless and stuff like that, brilliant. So I very much grew up like an old school like kung fu movie nerd.
Same.
Sidebar: in Manahawkin, the school that I got offered to teach at when I had got my black belt in karate had a dollar store at the opposite end of the plaza that used to have VHS tapes of like Bolo. Who was the guy in Enter the Dragon, like the big muscly guy in Enter the Dragon. And he had his own run of films, and I bought a ton of the Shaw Brothers films and stuff like that. And I would literally spend like $25 and buy 25 VHS tapes that were all kung fu films, and then be like, Danny, I know what we're doing all weekend to my brother. And like, bop, and that's it. We just sit down and watch kung fu films. So awesome. that was a huge part. You know, I have friends that like when I moved out of my house the first time, Thursday nights, everybody came over and we just watched kung fu movies. Like, and I was an adult, and it was just a thing that like these people were not martial artists. They were just my friends. Were like, yeah, this is what Chris does. You know what I mean?
So Enter the Dragon, you kind of said pretty much your favorite one.
I won't say it's my favorite film, but it is responsible for a large chunk of the trajectory of my life.
Do you have a favorite like cinematic piece that had kung fu in it?
5 Deadly Venoms is dope. Like, oh man, there's so many. There's so many. Honestly, even something like Kill Bill, which is like not a kung fu movie, but also is the whole sequence with Pai Mei and snatching the eye, like all of that is so good. It's so good. And there's the part with like Oren Ishii where she's the nod to Lady Snow Death, which was a Japanese samurai film. So like Quentin Tarantino does this thing where he takes all of his influences and just goes smash and makes something new out of all of it, but doesn't try to hide it. Like if you know, you look at it and you're like, oh, yeah, this is that, and it's clear as day, and he doesn't try to hide it, and it's cool. It's cool. Real martial artists, well, not that those guys aren't real, but guys that like fought or competed or whatever.
Yeah.
Ramon Deckers is my favorite kickboxer of all time. Directly under him is Ernesto Hust, who is his own student. King of the 2-3 to the liver or head outside leg kick. That dude has best in the business. Best in the business. I don't know that was like Jose Aldo's thing, but like Ernesto Hust did that like no one else. Like no one else. Terere is my favorite guard passer of all time. Personally, I think that he's sort of the godfather of modern guard passing. Bidirectional passing, left and right, speed passing, and then just dead stop pressure. Anybody that doesn't say that Marcelo Garcia is pretty much the best ever is lying. No, there's personal opinions on that, and I understand that time changes things. So Marcelo was a huge part in me wanting to grow in jiu-jitsu and like really, really learn. Jacare was like the dude that made me want to start, because there's one YouTube video everybody knows about where he's like crawling out of the pool, and then like it's just like a minute and a half of him throwing dudes with wild judo stuff and then crazy fast arm bars, and like if that doesn't make you want to go do jiu-jitsu right now, like, I don't know, you know. It's like putting skate videos from the 90s on before in front of a kid and be like, I'm gonna go skateboard now, like as fast as I can, as fast as I can. So those guys are cool. I don't know. Mikey is my friend, and I'm talking about it, but I love Mikey to death. If that kid doesn't inspire you either, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's going on with you.
I haven't met Mikey yet, but I've only heard good things about the guy.
He's one of my favorite people on earth. I love him to death. He's a fantastic human being. He's young, you know what I mean? He's young and he's still growing as a person, and I'm really excited to see kind of where he ends up in his life. But as a competitive athlete, like, you can't find someone more decorated. You know what I mean? This kid has done everything except for ADCC, right? Like, he's done everything on earth. And if that doesn't make you want to go train, like, I don't know. I don't know. So I have personal favorites or people whose style I like. There are guys that don't do things that I do, and I appreciate like a ton.
Yeah.
But I'm also, again, like, I'm not big on hero worship. Everybody puts their pants on, you know what I mean? The same way they just, but I make hit records, right? There's your Christopher Walken, the cowbell. So, you know, I think it's good to have mentors rather than heroes. Have someone that's willing to invest their time in you and teach you and connect with you. And having a hero, like you said, don't meet them. Often you end up disappointed. Every now and then there's that one unicorn, right? But like, more often than not, don't do that. And I think if you have a mentor, there's a little bit of like hero to it, but you need it in a
the
healthy
respect
dose.
is almost like different because you know them more intimately.
Though,
dude,
so even with my own students, man, I got like 6-year-olds that are like, I want to be like you when I grow up. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You can do what I do, but I want you to be better at it, and I want you to be you. I want you to stay you. Don't be me, because the more you learn about me, the more disappointed you'll get, because you're gonna build me. No, you'll build me up to something in your head as a child, and then you'll meet me as an adult, and I'll be a totally different person by then because I'm already old, and you'll be like, oh, that guy sucks. You know what I mean? So I don't like the hero worship thing. I
dig that, man. That is a very mature perspective on it.
I'm old.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's important that you stay grounded, and I think you should have this ideal or the standard that you're trying to get to or something you're trying to emulate. But, like, I don't think that you should try to be that person. And I don't think that you should put anybody on a platform, because that's where, like, the entitlement comes in, where people think that they deserve things because they work harder. I did all the things that this guy did. I took all the steps that guy took. Why didn't I have the same result? Because you're not that guy or that woman. Like, you're not them. You have to be there. Which, since we were talking about people, and I only mentioned male grapplers, Maisa Bastos, I think, is top 5 in the world.
Just had a seminar with
her. But I said this even before I booked it. I think she's top 5 in the world, regardless of weight and gender. Like, I don't think we need to separate men and women's jiu-jitsu. I think that that's a whole different can of worms. I understand why it happens, but I think when we're talking about people in terms of like talent and skill, I don't think we need to have the conversation between like best male grappler and best female grappler. Like, jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And if you like it, you appreciate it all the same. So I think that she's incredible. Tammy is incredible. I'm a big Bia Mesquita fan. It's hard not to like Fionn. She's really, really good and just had an incredible showing herself.
What'd you think of that Amanda Levy versus Gabby Garcia?
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by that at all. I don't personally know Amanda. I know that a lot of the people that I know her. It's
She
it's a
trained
small
here.
community.
I met her
yeah,
here. I rolled with her before.
It's a small community
Yeah.
here. I'm happy for her. I think Gabby's lost before, right? Mackenzie beat her. Natalie's beaten her. Like it's not this crazy thing. I think part of the reason that it blew everyone's minds is because, you know, Amanda has been unranked for so long and Gabby is Gabby and like, who's this person? And then she comes in. But like, if you live in the state of New Jersey and you do jiu-jitsu, you know Amanda and you know that she's talented, even if you've never met her before. You know what I mean? So was it a thing that I was surprised at all? Absolutely not. I was more excited because I don't know her. I was more excited to watch the people that I know her react to that moment.
Yeah.
I was really happy to see so many other people happy by something that one other person did, right?
Hell yeah,
And it was cool to not have that attachment to it and be able to be like, man, like you brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. And it's not because like you beat Gabby. It's because you performed to the potential that all these people really knew and believed that you had, right?
Yeah, man. You saw in the video,
it's cool.
man. Big J like lit up.
Yeah.
It was like a sun,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, man, like I wish I was there because it was a really
It's
awesome
cool.
moment.
Yeah. And I think the hero worship, or well, even the factual stats of Gabby Garcia's career and her resume, like for someone that a lot of people maybe not in the tri-state area don't know, it's like, oh, who's that girl? So I'm like incredibly happy to see someone's stock go up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't diminish any of the things that Gabby has done. But it's not like the first time she's been beat. Right. Like I said, more happy to see the people that I know be happy for her. So I can vicariously be happy. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
But it was cool to see. It was cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So have you ever done like MMA and stuff? Like it seems like you really into like your journey, like started striking, you rounded yourself out. Did you ever go anywhere with like an amateur like MMA matches?
No,
or anything
I mean,
like that?
so I walk around at like 125, 127 pounds, like, and that's like if I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
Quarantine was different because I ate pancakes and ice cream for breakfast.
Pancakes.
And I couldn't do jujitsu,
shit.
right? I actually like quarantine. I didn't train the whole time. I taught Zoom classes in my living room. Teaching 4-year-olds on the internet is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. We made it. We're back. We made it. But so I walk around, like I literally don't have to cut weight to make rooster weight. If anything, like I just don't drink as much water one day.
Just pee in the morning.
And I'm good. Yeah. So, you know, at the time when I was younger and I was striking and I was first starting jiu-jitsu, I was like, I'm gonna get real big. I'm still growing. And it's like, no, you're not, bro. No, you're not. Stop it. And there was no 125. It was like 155 was small, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, for me to fight MMA, I could try to do like 125, but those are dudes cutting from 155 also, you know?
Yeah.
I would need like a 112 to make like that real run at it, and that's not happening. Also, when I was kickboxing, like I was a really angsty teen. I think I said before to one of the guys inside, Raphael was my favorite Ninja Turtle because he was just full of so much teenage angst. And I was like, bro, that's me. Like I saw myself in a turtle. So there's an age, if you're that kind of kid, where like, you don't mind fighting. You don't mind scrapping. Getting punched in the face, no big deal. And then as I got older and I was less angry in my life, I was like, this isn't as enjoyable as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's also not sustainable. Like CTE is a real thing. So I mean,
sure.
like for me to open a school and kickbox all the time and like do all that, like it's not a thing that I had interest in. And by then I had like, jiu-jitsu is the thing that when I started it, it was like, if I had found this first, I would never do anything else. Like, you know what I mean?
100%.
I was kickboxing because and karate because that's what was on TV. That's what was available back then. There was like no jiu-jitsu, right? So, well, not here. You start there and it's everything you've seen since the 70s, 60s, 70s, right? Like that's all. If you think about it, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, no one's throwing up flying arm bars, right? Like it's not happening. So I think I kind of fell into what was available and jiu-jitsu immediately. I closed guard armbar, first class. And as soon as I did it, I was like, yup. It felt like the Enter the Dragon moment where I was like, this is what I've been trying to find the entire time.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And that was it. So when the time came for me to be like, do I really want to do this anymore? I was like, no. And it was an easy decision.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people are like, you spent your whole life doing it. How could you not do it? I'm like, that's kind of like riding a bike. Like, timing needs to come back, but like, I could start moving, probably spar rounds and not die. You know what I mean? It's like riding a bike. But jiu-jitsu is like the only thing I want to do. So I don't teach striking classes because I don't want to. Straight up.
Yeah.
I could do it and just be like, I'm gonna make all the money, but I don't want an MMA gym. I don't want to do any of that stuff. What's up, Andy? Andy runs Aesthetic, and he is like hands down 10 times a better designer than I am.
Oh no,
Andy, for real.
He must be designing.
Andy makes stuff that I look at and I'm like, ugh, delete, and I gotta start again. Andy is the man.
That's awesome.
And runs literally one of the best gi companies of all time. Aesthetic. I was a customer before I got sponsored by them, and we've had an incredible relationship for a really long time since I got my black belt. It's the first sponsor I've ever had. I am still working with them. They have been very good to me, and there's a relationship there beyond like, I need free stuff, which is why you guys don't get sponsored. We could talk about that in a minute if you want, depending on time.
Yo, definitely.
Because I could tell you guys like how to get it, and why you're not.
Let's dive into that actually.
So
great segue.
I deal with this for Monkey Tape. I deal with this for Mikoto. I released one rash card and I was like, hey man, like I'm a blue belt and yada yada yada. Give me free rash cards. And I was like, all right, time out. I made like one rash card, 20 of them. I know for a fact you didn't buy one. Why would you get stuff for free? Right?
Yeah.
So first thing, that sense of entitlement. No one owes you anything. Learn these letters. ROI, return on investment. For you to seek out sponsorship from a company, one, you should actually know about them. You should actually be a customer to make sure that you like the things that you're trying to get, right? Two, be very clear about your needs. Don't be like, oh, I need free stuff. Well, what does that mean? Like, here's a sticker, go away, right? I train X amount of times a day, or I'm competing in this and I need a new gi for that, right? Like, okay, we could talk about that. But be very specific about what you need. Be very specific about what you can bring to the table, ROI. If I'm going to give someone a $150 gi, $200 gi, whatever it is for free, what are you going to do to offset that cost? What do you bring to the table? I understand you've been training for 6 months and you won 2 Naga divisions. I don't care. I don't care because you're not going to help our brand grow, right? Find a company that you believe in that resonates with you. So visually, Aesthetic was a thing, not nonsense. Aesthetic was a company that visually I was like, yo, like these guys know what they're doing. And for me, when I bought my first gi and I put it on, I didn't have to put it in the wash to try to shrink it a little bit. Like everything fit perfectly. And I was like, yo, right? And then there were little things, the shorts, the spats, the rash guards, stuff like that. And I have a personal relationship with these guys where they know the work that I will put in for them to bring awareness to the brand, to help them do things and grow. And they've supported me end over end. And it's a real relationship where like I got hurt and I couldn't compete and they didn't drop me. I lost a bunch of matches in a row and they didn't drop me. They still believe in me. They still want to work with me because there's a real relationship there. We believe in the same things and we're very similar people. We're very similar. They've stayed at my house.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
You know, and I love them to death, and I'm eternally grateful for what they've done. I've had one sponsor my entire martial arts career, and I got it when I got my black belt because I didn't need it back then. I didn't need anything. So, you know, the reason that you're not getting sponsorships is because you're just asking in an Instagram DM with stuff. Don't tell me that you won 2 divisions. What are you going to do to bring awareness to the brand? What are you going to do to help promote them? And don't just be like, I'll wear you at tournaments. You got to wear a gi anyway, man. Like, or spats on a rash guard. Like, you got to do that anyway. Show me wild things. Show me that, like, you've got, I don't know, 900 followers on Instagram. That's not even a lot, right? 900.
Yeah.
500. That's not even a lot. But you're getting organically 250 likes on every post, and they're not bots. You didn't buy them. They're real people with real engagement. Show me that you can actually connect to other people to help us grow, to help us get our product out there. I don't want to see that you've got 10,000 followers and 5 likes on a picture. Like then you're just static in the algorithm, right? You're white noise.
Yeah.
So be clear about what it is that you need. Show me actual data and analytics. If you have like a YouTube channel, what are you pulling in? This is no different than 2 companies trying to advertise together and do collaboration together. There needs to be mutual benefit equals total benefit, right? So the reason that guys don't get sponsored is because they just slap one DM together that they literally copy and paste to 10 different companies without changing any of the things inside there. And they get ignored half the time. I will answer and I'll be cordial about it. But even through Monkey Tape, I've told guys, I've been like, hey man, that's really great for you. I'm gonna be honest, we're going to have to pass. And this is why. So maybe the next time you message a different company, try this approach, right? And if you're chasing large brands, it's going to be harder. Because there's like 3 tiers of sponsorship, right? There's free stuff, or there's wholesale discount. Then there's free stuff. And then there's like the coveted paid athlete. That is a rare occurrence. Rare occurrence. You got to pull some real shenanigans for that. Or like be the draw. But if you want free stuff, be clear about what you need, how much you need. Don't just add, again, oh, I need stuff. Here's a sticker and a patch. Bye.
Enjoy.
Right? Yeah. So you got to be clear about that. And I think that that's a part that people don't understand is they think like, oh, I train, I post on Instagram, I deserve this. No, man, like it's a business. It's a business. You are trying to enter an industry at that point. And if you're treating it like it's a hobby, you don't belong in the industry because it's 2 sides of the same coin. Right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you can't get sponsorships. It just means you're going about it wrong. So focus on your return on investment. What do they gain by doing these things for you? And that's important, you know? Man. And build real relationships. Try to build relationships and buy stuff that you like. Be a customer first. Be a customer first, because I promise whoever, if it's a small company, they see it. They know that you ordered something because they probably were the people that packed it and mailed it out. You know what I mean? Or if you're like, hey, I'm a longtime customer, they can look at your Instagram feed. They can look at their purchase order, like their history, and be like, oh yeah, they bought like 6 things last year. Right? Yeah. So I think that's important. Don't feel like anybody owes you anything just because you're cool and you want it. What did you do to have it? You know what I mean?
For sure. So. No, that's incredibly good stuff. And I can say like I've just started kind of like reaching out and kind of like figuring out my own battle plan for like what value can I bring. And even then I try to.
But the fact that you're thinking about it before you send that email, before you send that DM, the fact that it's a thing that's like, no.
I like phone calls too.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey man, I have an opportunity that I think will mutually benefit us.
Nope. That's a huge thing. So listen, if you're like a personal friend of mine, don't call me. Just text me. It's 2021.
Yeah.
If it's a business relationship, call me because I need to take notes. Yeah. We need that interaction, right? And that's a whole different thing.
Definitely.
So I think connecting with people is really important.
Hell yeah, dude.
I talked to the guys from Monkey Tape on the phone. Like I literally talked to them the other day. The guys from the brewery I talked to on the phone. I would speak to the guys from Aesthetic more, but they're in Malaysia. So unless it's a WhatsApp thing, like I'm not trying to pay that. Love you guys. Love you to death. I miss you. I'm not trying to pay that bill. So, I agree with you. I think that's important. Being a real person with a real relationship and bond.
Yeah, texting can be like so separated from things, you know what I mean? It removes the human connection and makes it seem like, oh, this robot wants things from me now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. And again, like be a customer.
Be organic.
Those core values that we talked about a brand has, like you need to be a right fit for them too.
Of course.
Right? Like you need to be the right fit for them too as an ambassador, as a representative. And that's a thing that I don't think people get. And if you look at like any other professional athlete sponsorship, they drop you, right? Like you have a contract and they drop you and it's, business.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So,
well, dude, that was an awesome little like tributary we took there.
Yeah, I didn't mean to sidebar that.
No, I'm glad we did.
I answer so many of those a day.
That was very valuable.
I answer so many of those a day.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel bad because I don't want to say no, but it's also not my company to say yes with.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking at it like, oh man, like you just don't get it yet.
Yeah,
you don't get it
exactly.
yet.
Come back. So, come back when you figure it out. But yeah, one thing I really wanted to ask you, because and you kind of touched on it, like you are light. I've rolled with you.
Yeah.
And man, like, first of all, I don't roll like an asshole, especially not in my own room.
I appreciate it.
I'm not going like for a competition soon. But like, how do you generally avoid being injured, right? Like you're obviously like in this for the long haul. Like you said, like you're approaching like your 40s here, and you're still training with the young guys, dude. Like I didn't like if you would have told me like you were my age, like I'm 29, I would have been like, yeah, checks out. Like
no,
there's no gray hair.
Older,
like, I got a receding hairline more than you have gray hairs. You know what I mean?
Older than recorded time itself.
Oh my god.
I get hurt all the time. I don't know. You heard me say something today with one of the kids about my elbow. Someone asked, or one of the adults asked me if I wanted the ice pack. I was like, nah, I'll just take 2 doses to suck it up.
Yeah.
So fairly,
Rub some MAN on it.
yeah, I'm beat up. I won't even lie about it. My left knee is held together with like hopes and dreams instead of real ligaments. But I haven't had surgery on it because like I got stuff to do. Like I'm busy. I was slap tearing my right shoulder. I spoke to someone that had the surgery, and they were like, yeah, it's literally 50-50. Like 50% of the people it helps, 50% are in the same pain. And I was like, well, that's a colossal waste of time and money. So no. So I'm always hurt, but focusing on recovery and mobility and things like that are really important. Having training partners that you can trust.
Huge.
And it's a different thing, you know, like, all right, so I can invert and I'm fairly flexible and I can move quickly on the mat. And if you're 200 pounds, I can't ask you to be light and less strong and give up your inherited advantage unless I'm willing to give up my own. It's a weird thing that happens. Everyone's like, oh, he's so big, he smashed me. I'm like, well, you didn't stop running around like a, you know, like a hedgehog or like a wild lizard, like scrambling around him. So if I need you to be lighter, I also need to not move like Speedy Gonzalez, right?
Yeah.
Like I have to be fair about that. But also the intent of your training partners. You can train really hard intensity wise. And okay, so I don't think personally that aggressive jiu-jitsu is physically rough jiu-jitsu. I think that's just you being a spaz and muscling things and not getting it. I think personally aggressive jiu-jitsu is nonstop pressure physically in terms of the amount of pace and the unrelenting approach to your attacks and chaining them together, which will build and then obviously like when you're on top, physical pressure, emotional pressure, and mental pressure, which all stem from the pace and being assertive. Maybe assertive is a better word rather than aggressive. But to me, aggressive jiu-jitsu is like, okay, I'm gonna dictate pace. I'm gonna go. We're gonna stop when I want to stop, but I'm gonna make you work so I can rest, and then I'm gonna do the rest. And go again. So I think that maybe it's just differences of opinions. I know some guys that like they need that hard fight where someone's bleeding at the end of the round, and that's good because it teaches you that you're tough. But I've been doing jiu-jitsu a long time and I've been doing martial arts like almost my whole life. I know I'm not going to quit. I know I'm not going to give up. Like, I'm tough. Like, I know that. And there's a certain point of diminishing returns where you're so hurt and so beat up from all that hard physical training that you can't do it anymore. I would rather be good at jiu-jitsu than lucky. So I focus on skill development and I try to focus on my positioning. So if I'm rolling with someone and they're strong, I don't think like, what do I do? I think, where do I need to be? Like, where do I need to be to kill this position or kill that grip? And it doesn't always work. And I also have a healthy understanding that like, it's not worth me breaking this grip or attempting to, because I'm not gonna. I'm a puny like peon compared to this man, and I'm not gonna break that collar grip. So where can I go positionally that will render that less valuable to him, less useful and efficient, right? But I think if you come, Manahawkin is by Long Beach Island, so we get a lot of tourists that pop by for the summer.
Oh, wow.
And the one thing that everybody's got a shore house and stuff like that. And the one thing we get all the time is like, yo, you guys don't stop moving. Like, and I guess they're used to like training where like, okay, we go really, really hard and then both of us need like 2 minutes to catch our breath. But if you come train with us, like everybody moves. Everybody moves. And you heard me today, even in between rounds, I was like, yo, make a new friend, get a new partner. Let's go. Yeah. Get off the wall. Let's go. We're training. And I'm not like calling people out individually or being rude about it, but like, go, go.
For sure.
You're here to train. Go.
Yeah.
So, and even when we're training, like I don't want to like take it easy and take the round lightly. Like I'm gonna go, and that's it. And if you match pace, cool, that'll be rad. And if you don't, like
that'll be rad.
Cool, it'll be rad, right? Like jiu-jitsu's fun, so it'll be cool no matter what. So I think training like that has helped me a bit, and a healthy amount of respect between training partners. You know what I mean? Like I have a student who is 6'4" and lost a ton of weight so he could compete, but like way bigger than me. And it would be silly of me to be like, yo, you're too long. Like you got to keep your gait closer. Like, no, he's built like that. I should have more discipline and not overextend my legs so he treats my guard like garbage, right? Like there's a level of accountability. You know what I mean? It's not his fault that he smashed me. It's mine. If I didn't want to get smashed, I should have had a better framing structure. I should have had a better guard retention. You know what I mean? So that understanding and knowing that like, yo, we can push. And there are some people that I will let pull my arm a little bit further or hold on to a foot a little bit longer because I trust them. And then there are guys that like the minute they touch my wrist, even if my arm's not straight, tap. Why? Because I don't know you.
Yeah.
I don't know you, and I don't trust you. And jiu-jitsu is built on trust. That's why that bond happens so quickly between people.
Yeah, man.
Right? Like
crazy.
Jiu-jitsu is 100% contact 100% of the time. You're going to be in that guy's face. I've had dudes sweat roll off their forehead, down their nose, and into my mouth. At that point, we're the same person now, right?
Sure,
like we just became best friends.
Yeah, I've had the worst one. It was in the black basement. I was rolling with Rob, and like his pressure was like super good, and like he did this transition. I think it was like from side control or something to like north south, but like my mouth was like kind of open. And his rash guard just went like this in my face. I just got like a pool of.
Yeah,
I wanted to fucking
gross.
Dude, I wanted to just tap from that. I'm like, I need water. Oh god.
Yeah. I'm not there. I'm not with it. I just remind myself in my head like, there's hot showers at the end of this. There's so much soap at the end of this.
Soap, God, yes.
So I think like asking yourself, are you training just to prove to yourself that you're tough, or are you training to actually improve your jiu-jitsu? I think that will change quite a bit about like your rate of injury. Yeah. And then being smart. I'm actually a fan of training injured. I am. Because I think it forces you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Now, within reason.
Yeah.
If your leg literally turns,
if
your leg turns the wrong direction, and you're like, I remember how my knee used to go this way. It doesn't anymore. Well, okay, well maybe you shouldn't, right? But like, okay, your foot popped once and it's fine. It's just a little stretch of the ligament kind of thing. So you can't make good hooks with it. Well, start playing different guards, right? Start wrestling up. Start using lapels. Start playing on the other side. When you lose the ability to do something that is so in your wheelhouse, it's going to force growth in a different direction. And I would rather acquire more skill. I would rather be a learn-it-all than a know-it-all.
You said that my first time at one of your classes.
Yeah,
it was so
I would rather that. So
that
I just
such a.
I want to know as much as I can.
Dog. You need to put that on a rash guard or something, bro.
Nah,
no, I like that one. Dude.
But again, it's that mindset. You know what I mean? I think if you stay the perpetual student, you'll get there.
Yeah.
If you just I want to smash things, you're gonna have a very short lifespan.
Yeah.
You know, and I know a bunch of guys, and it's cool. Like the everyday Pahada thing is cool, but like, at what point do you realize that you're just breaking yourself and not improving?
Yeah.
And then why are we doing it? What is the reason for it, right? So, I think that goes a long way, and it's different. You know, when I was younger, like I said, full of piss and vinegar, was down to fight everybody.
Yeah.
And then I got older, and I was like, nah. I don't need that.
For real. Man, I like it when my back doesn't hurt when I wake up.
My back hurts all the time.
Yeah, for real.
Hurts all the time. But, you know, within reason. A couple of minutes of mobility work and I'm good as new.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
So.
Well, dude, I think we've been at it for a good amount of time here.
Yeah, I think
so.
we're
we're at least closing in on like about 2 hours here.
Oh, man. My bad.
No, dude, no. I actually, some of my favorite podcasts, I tell people are around the 2.5 hour mark because I feel like, you know, the first 30 minutes... I'm letting you get comfortable with me, right? Like, I don't know this guy. We're in a school bus.
Listen, we were just sweating on each other a minute ago. It doesn't get much more comfortable than that.
Jiu-jitsu guys, it's a lot easier. It's probably 15 minutes, maybe. Not even, you know. But, you know, the next piece is when I get to really start cracking the walnuts open. So I enjoyed my time with you a lot, man.
Same, man. Thank you.
First, I want to ask you, so Jess painted me this, right?
Yeah.
Jess Bermudez painted this tip for me. And
Jess is the coolest person on earth. And I am so very proud of you, Jess, for all the growth you've shown, coaching, teaching, competing.
I'm going to have to clip this for
Big
you.
step.
You can throw this on your Instagram or something.
No, I will hype her up forever
I'll
because I love her.
Then, yeah.
Because I love her.
That's awesome, dude. Same. In
I
fact,
believe in her.
I love her so much that when she made this for me, I was like, dude, you are incredible. And I let her paint like part of my bust. Did you see it outside?
No, the other side?
Yeah.
No,
dude,
I didn't.
Yeah. So there's a mural there. I want to invite you because of your artistic skills.
Man.
If you're interested, maybe I'm not saying like tomorrow we got to do this, but if you're interested,
I would be down. I gotta. That's the pressure where it's like, if I mess this up, it's on the side of the guy's bust for the rest of my life. Like, oh no. Make that happen. Yeah, that would be cool. I would be
like
honored.
You choking me or something.
No, God, no.
Baramboloing me.
God,
taking
no.
my back or something.
No, I would be honored to contribute to that.
Yeah,
man.
that would be cool. My goal with it, right, is so you'll see it's only like a patch, right? So it's not dissimilar from this, right? If this is the entire bust, like to scale,
yeah,
only Jess's part is right here on the back. And the rest is like normal. Well, once I sand this section down, I want another artist to do it. But I need the
that'd be
other
cool.
artist, and
Yeah.
I found him today.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
want,
no,
I
I
want
would
the
love
whole
to.
outside to be done. Like, people are always like, "Oh, dude, you need to change like your bus is like ugly, like prison bus color." I'm like,
It's a bus.
it's
a
a
blank.
it's a working
It's a blank canvas.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a blank
exactly.
canvas,
And
yeah.
I need to choose the right artist to build this.
Oh, I
this
appreciate that,
masterpiece.
man. I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man.
I'm gonna try not to freak out about the pressure. And get that Alan Grant.
Yeah, no pressure on the time. Maybe like probably in the summer is probably gonna be a better time.
That would probably be
I'll
better.
be
I
back.
would like to not freeze. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
for sure. I know Jess, like, it's not done yet, and in fact, the next stop on my journey,
Nothing ever
I'm going
is.
to Delaware, and it's going like she's gonna finally like have some time to finish it because I'm gonna
Cool.
park outside of her house, and then like whenever she gets off work, we can train with Eric and like the elite guys and
Yeah.
come back and get
I'm
some
pumped.
stuff
Eric,
done.
having Eric here too is really great.
Yo,
like, I'm
for
really
sure.
excited. Like
I'm
that
gonna-
was
I'm
that was
planning on
all win
having
for
him on
us. I don't
again,
know
yeah.
how I duped him into that, but that was all win for us.
Yo, out of
I think I
control.
just was like, I got snacks, and he was like, Yeah, I'm in.
I'm in. For sure. Got me with the soap. I'm like, damn, dude. Like, I need to just make this my new, like, second gym, second home, man. But yeah, like, can you let everyone know where to find you? Any final sentiments as well?
Chris Noonan JJ on Instagram is me.
And everyone can see it down there if they're watching this on the video.
At the Hive JJ is the Academy. Mikoto Brand Official. Follow Monkey Tape. Follow Fight Aesthetic is their thing. At Fight Aesthetic. Be a good person. Create more than you complain. And like, yeah, have fun.
Oh, yeah, bro.
Live your life.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming
very
on the
much,
show,
man. I
dude.
appreciate it. Thank you. If you made it this long, thank you for watching because I just rant and I appreciate your time.
Oh, it was a blast.
That's the only
dude.
real commodity, right? Time is one thing no one gets back. So
Oh,
if you
man.
chose to spend it doing this, thank you.
Yeah, much obliged, everybody. Peace.